What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I am one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside he only does everything, Colin Moriarty.
Hello.
The pure one, Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
And then, for the first time ever, star of stage and screen, Aisha Tyler. Best-selling author. And a million other things.
Too famous for this show.
I know. Seriously. No one here is denying that for a second, that there's no reason for you to be inside our house.
Very happy to be here. And you're in my hometown. I'm from San Francisco, so it's a special joy to be here in what can be only qualified as, what is this, the inner sunset?
Right?
Yes.
You're
because you're like 6 feet past the fog line. Like,
Exactly.
The whole day was beautiful, and now it's outside. It's like the first reaches of Mordor.
That's always the worst part of coming home. Is like we work in Soma, so it's always nice. And you're on the bay, and the Giants are playing,
Beautiful.
and you come over the hill in the car, and you can just see it. The imposing.
It's like
fog
Silent Hill.
fortress. Yeah,
Straight up.
Yeah.
You can see fingers of fog actually creeping towards you, sucking the life out of you and the joy.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that's why we're so pasty.
Yeah.
That's why, and it works for
One
us.
of a variety of reasons.
Well, yeah, we don't get out much. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the Game Over Greggy Show is our weekly podcast. Every week, 4 best friends gather around this table, each bringing a random topic of conversation for your amusement. If you like that, make sure you grab the MP3. We post it every Friday for $1 at GameOverGreggy.bandcamp.com. If you don't think we're worth that dollar, we don't either. So wait for YouTube. Over on YouTube, the next week, every day, every topic goes live, broken out one by one for free. You get to enjoy it. Go buy t-shirts at districtlines.com.
There's a new shirt.
GameOverGreggy. There is a new shirt. Finally, a Tim shirt. People have demanded a Tim shirt for a long time. It came. What is it?
Hella.
It just says hella.
hella.
That is a
'Cause I
very
like that
San
word a lot.
Francisco word.
I am from
It
San
is,
Francisco
yes,
as well.
It is uniquely a San Francisco
Yes.
word, actually. Yes.
I like it a lot.
Was it a thing forever? That's the thing. I like moving here. I never knew it was the thing, and then slowly, as you started hearing people say it, that was the way. Oh, you're from here. I get it.
I grew up here, and that was a hell of a thing when I was like in middle school.
Yeah.
And you draw it out like that. Dude,
Yep.
I'm hella stoned.
Yeah. That was always the thing. I said this before.
that was always you. I'm hella stoned.
Oh, no.
The
But
pure
even in elementary school, we weren't allowed to say it because it was a bad word. So we said hecka instead.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
That's how cool we were.
Did you go to like church school?
No, I went to like just public school.
Oh,
but
okay.
even then,
You went to the wrong public
I know.
school.
They messed up.
Yeah, that's how
It was a heck of bad school. But,
All right, Aisha.
Yes.
Usually we let the guests go first.
Yeah.
Not this time.
I didn't do my homework.
I'm rude. No,
No.
I was going to cover for you.
Thank you. No,
Now you blew it.
I'm willing. You know what? Most celebrities do not own their mistakes. It's my mom's fault. It's the fans' fault. And my name is Justin Bieber. It's not my fault. I'm a racist. But I will just say right now that I couldn't think of anything, and so I thought I'll listen to. And you guys are all gonna have really great topics.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna percolate.
You're gonna inspire me.
Yeah.
Right. Some stuff's gonna marinate.
Yeah.
And then at the end, boom, I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna close.
You're just going to nail it.
I'm
You're just going to come up, call your shot, hit the home run.
You guys are gonna load the bases, and I'm gonna.
That was a
clean
really
up,
high
clean
swing,
up.
Greg. You shouldn't have swung at that pitch.
See, I'm batting like a 1920s ball player. I got this thing in the way. I don't know.
That was going to be a wild pitch.
That was also the most. Right, you were doing the most baseball puns and references we've ever done in this game. I didn't know you'd bring the sports.
Well, you know.
Colin, we start pouring old fashions.
Sure.
I would like one badly.
Aisha, would you like a bourbon or a rye old fashioned?
I would like a bourbon old fashioned.
Good choice.
I like
Right
rye.
choice.
Rye is like this. Is like the weaker, twinkier version of bourbon.
I
You
agree.
know,
That's why
like
Greg likes it.
I love
thin,
Twinkier
the
version.
sunken, like there's like bourbon's like this big barrel chested guy, and then rye's like his like little sunken chested bird bodied brother. With like the ribs all kind of sticking out.
I only like it in my old fashions.
No, I mean rye is delicious. Bourbon's just more delicious, but rye's delicate. It's It's for a nuanced palate. You have a nuanced palate. That's why.
Rye is
Nuanced
delicate.
palate.
Rye is very delicate.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. It's been a pleasure,
Ladies.
Aisha. Aisha Tyler, you're here doing comedy.
Yes, I am here doing
You're
comedy.
at the Cobb's Comedy Club.
Cobb's Comedy
By
Club.
the time this posts, it'll be way too late
Too
to
late
see
for
you.
you.
But
Too
they
late.
can go see you at other places.
Yeah,
Follow
I
you
try-
on the internets.
Yeah, follow me on their webs, and there's clips and things on the tubes and stuff. Yeah.
Last night I went and saw you.
Yeah.
You were funny.
Thank you for
Your
coming.
opener was really funny too.
He's a funny
You-
kid.
I didn't expect that. I was like,
Yeah.
here comes some garbage people, and then he came out. He was like, it was awesome.
No, I always bring a funny person with me. I'm not one of those people who's so insecure that they have to have like a sucky opener to make them look better. I
Yeah.
feel like if you come see. Also, I would hate for people to go away and be like, I like Aisha, but she's got terrible taste in comedy, right? Like I feel like I'm curating an experience for you. It should
Yeah.
be good. Yeah, he's a funny kid.
One of your jokes last night. One of your funnies.
Okay,
Your
one of
guffaws.
my bits, my
was talking
chuckles.
about being an adult and it sucks.
Yes.
Being an adult's terrible.
It's fucking awful.
I've said this for years.
Yeah.
And so it's this topic today. I want to know. Go around see if we all agree with being an adult sucks and when you knew it. Because for me, there's like 2 moments of like I don't ever feel like an adult, right? I mean,
No.
I live in a house with my best friend and we play video games and we make little movies and we put them up on the internet, right? I got a dog. He's annoying. All this other stuff. But like there's like the one time I remember two of them, right, where the first time I moved to San Francisco and it's like so expensive here, and I'm starting this job and it's entry level and I'm not making that much money, and I had to start doing Excel spreadsheets for how much money I had and where all my money was going. So I know, and I got to like having where it was like I have $20 to spend this month.
Yeah.
And just breaking down in tears because it's like that's it. Like there's no silver lining coming. There's no one. I'm not gonna call. I mean, it's like I was like I needed an operation. It was just that I can't go out drinking. I can't go to the movies. Like I remember it was such a big deal when I could start going to the coffee shop across from work and not having to think about it.
Right.
Of like, well, fuck, I only got $5 in my pocket.
How am I going to make this work?
The coffee and the oatmeal is not worth it today. I don't need
That's
it.
expensive coffee and oatmeal too.
I know, but it's delicious.
It is good.
It is
good.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We learned how to make them from a bar in San Diego called Polite Provisions. Eric Castro.
Yes.
He's a fantastic human being, and they're very good.
Off subject, but no.
This is how we
I'm
go. This is how we go.
saving-
No,
okay.
go off subject. This is what we do here.
So first of all, the one thing that I do love about being a grown up is that you can have a bar in your office, and
Yeah.
I've been building a full bar in my office, which I find incredibly exciting, and I feel like all like a big black madman, and and sometimes I make drinks for people when they come, and I think my bar was not built out when you came to my office. So next time you come, I can actually make you a proper cocktail.
Okay.
Because I've had people come and ask for things that I couldn't make, and then I've like sent my assistant scurrying out to get them. But there's something very delightful about the idea of having booze in your workplace and drinking it without guilt. So that's one thing that's awesome about being an adult.
Yeah.
What I've noticed since that is like all of my agents all have full bars in their offices, and then I just visited Facebook, and there's just open bottles of hard grain alcohol everywhere in that place, which maybe indicates something about what it's like to work there. But it was
we
very
do the same
fun.
thing at IGN. We have a little counter with a whole bunch of stuff on it. I keep a bottle of Knob Creek and tumblers in my glass, and then they have kegs they open up every so often.
It just indicates. I mean, what I thought it indicated when I saw it there was like, oh, this is a bunch of grown-ups who work here, and they're like, hey, works hard, and you got to let off some steam.
Right.
And, yeah, it was like a playful. It seems like it's a playful workspace if there's booze there, or in your case, Coca-Cola from Mexico.
I'll
Pure
drink too.
wine.
I like Coke a lot.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
who
you.
doesn't? My
Exactly.
friend? You and Toronto crackhead Mayor Rob Ford.
That was also one of your best.
That's
bits
my
last night.
favorite. I love talking about that guy.
Yeah,
I love it.
Colin's a big fan of him too.
Oh,
Colin's
my
our
God.
political guy. Colin's the serious one. He reads the newspapers.
Crackhead Toronto Mayor Ford. He's like that's all you have to say that though. Like Toronto crackhead Mayor Rob Ford. Like that's
his party. That's his party.
whole name. You know what I mean? Like you can't leave any one of those elements out. Yeah. That's
And so-
trademark.
Even in invoking the crackhead mayor here, is being an adult as we knew it dead? That's the other question I have. I think about it all the time. Right now, if you went back 30 years, right? My mom is my same age and has a 1-year-old child. She has responsibilities. Thank you so much, Colin. And things going on in her life. Whereas I'm like, oh man, I got to pack for E3. I got to put expense reports in for all the booze I'm drinking with these people.
Right?
That's the thing for me is I don't know if I even count as an adult. I don't think I've hit that point. I don't think I've reached a point
How
where
old
I'm
are you
like,
right now?
24.
Okay.
And
No.
Like the whole, you're an adult when you're 18, that is not true.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got a couple years in me until I realize I'm like, uh-oh, I'm not a little kid. I feel like a little kid. I do little kid things.
Yeah, you still like Disney princesses
I
too
do.
much.
I like them a lot.
With some underoos on right now?
Yeah.
That's
So
sweet. I mean, I don't see who doesn't want to pull their pants down and see a cartoon character. I mean,
True.
I think that'd be a good time at any age.
Yes.
But
yes.
I mean, so this is a really interesting question because I feel I'm the same. I mean, I talked about it a lot on stage. The idea that like mentally you don't feel like a grown up at all. And what's great but that's cultural too. I think we're freer now to stay young and to engage in things that maybe previously people might have thought, well, that's childish behavior. Let that go. The great thing about living in our culture now is that you can be an adult and sit on the couch and play video games for 9 hours in a row. And not everybody's going to judge
Well, and that's
you.
the other thing too is a lot of those things have grown up with us. Where now video games are not a little kid thing because the little kids that played them before are now adults.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know when I'll tell you like when I had like an adult moment, like a real adult moment, because I remember that like when I'm from here, when I moved back here, I'm waiting until everybody has a cocktail before I start drinking. Because I'm polite, by the way.
Appreciate it.
And
Tim's the only one who started drinking his Coke.
Things happen.
Well,
Sorry.
All right, we're good.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming.
That's
Cheers.
Mexican Coke, isn't it?
yeah.
Oh, it is.
So it's got some cocaine in it. Enjoy that.
They shrunk the bottles. Are you aware of this now? They used to have the tall, awesome Coke bottles. Now they're all
Half
these little
liters.
ones.
Now it's little.
Is it all right?
35 milliliters.
I like it. I think it. Did you stir it?
Yeah, I started it.
Okay.
But so I learned a thing yesterday at this place hard. Well, I'm not talking to like. I should do that. I learned a thing at the.
You can bring the mic closer to you, so you're not like hunched over the table.
So I found a problem. Like, so there's two schools of thought as far as I understand with the cocktail and getting it cold. right?
Uh-huh.
Is that you can either shake it or stir it normally in like, the metal container, or you can drop it over the ice and let it sit. But the place I went to, Hard Water at the Embarcadero yesterday, which is
that's bourbon and rye, yeah.
They pour them over regular ice cubes like this, but they mix them with either ice cubes first and discard the ice cubes, which waters it down a little bit, but they say it's worth it because it makes it cold immediately. So
they shake or stir?
They stir.
So I really feel very strongly that most cocktails should be stirred and not shaken. I think shaking, there's no such thing as bruising gin. People talk about bruising gin. That's not a thing. What that really is that you get a martini gin, or vodka's not a martini. So if you're drinking vodka martinis, please
fuck off.
But you get it and it's full of ice chips, right? So already your drink is automatically watered down before you ever get a chance to drink it. So that shit. And there was a guy in a restaurant I went to this morning shaking this thing like it fucking owed him money, and I wanted to go over there and punch him. I was like, nothing about what you're doing is cute, and this is not a maraca competition. So when you stir, and they put them in like a nice big beaker like this, and you get the thing, and you just stir, right? Nice, mellow, no breaking the ice, no chipping it off. You make the drink very cold, and then I only drink my drinks generally cold and neat in a rocks glass. I don't like martini glasses for anything other than a martini, because then I look like a fucking discarded cast member from Sex and the City, and then I want to fight people. So rocks glass is a grown-up glass. One rock is great. If the bar you're drinking in has a bunch of tiny ice cubes, just get your drink chilled and put into a glass. Don't let them put all the ice in your drink. It's ruining your drink. This is when I found out I was a grown-up. When I walked into a bar and I had to find out what kind of vermouth they had and like how they like, and I'm really fucking picky, and every time I order a cocktail it takes me like 7 minutes, and I have to apologize.
I'm gonna clean up a little bit because there's like shit all over the table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that happens every time.
Nick's gonna get mad.
No, he was all very Nick Scarpino, of course. You I don't know if you remember him from when you did IGN stuff before. He's our producer / seducer on the show, and he bought this table.
Oh, okay.
And he's very, very protective of it.
likes
Never
it a
mind
lot.
all the equipment we've spent hundreds of dollars on.
I think this is like an IKEA second from
Exactly.
the back fucking dock.
It is totally just an IKEA
Had
table.
a corner ding,
But
and
it's
they were like,
our IKEA
But like
table.
he came by and helped us
that's
move stuff around. He's like, "Oh, and clean up these marks over here. You should just come in." I'm like, "I will. It's gonna happen, Nick." But then like there's just more. That's how it works.
let
That's
them
how
know my
it's
expectations were not very high. So so far you've already outdone them by many.
good. Hey, all right.
Factor of
What
factor of many.
what was your reaction? I'm like, and you're coming to our house. What's up?
I was just saying, I'm sorry that your old fashioned isn't better, by the way.
It's delicious. It's delicious. When I found out I was coming to your house, I brought mace, of course. But other than that, I was like,
Thanks for coming.
how bad can it be? But we were, so like I feel like I had that same experience because I moved here right after college, and I had, whatever, the first job you get out of school, like $18,000 a year, after rent. I had $20 every pay period. So every 2 weeks I had a recreational $20 bill.
Yeah.
I would get a latte in the morning, and then I would like make it last. Like I would drink a little bit, I'd microwave, I'd drink it, and I'd microwave, then I'd add like office coffee to it all day, and then creamer, and I would make that thing, the cup would start to buckle on one side and leak down the seam. I mean, I did every time there was an office meeting, you'd go in there and raid like the leftover sandwich platter.
Oh yeah.
I had every trick in the book.
That was the big thing of us.
yeah.
Like so many people in the video game industry, when they come to visit IGN, just bring food.
Yeah.
And so in the early days, you were like
Live off of
banking
it.
on that. Someone is going to come by for a demo and bring a Subway tray,
Right?
and we're going to be okay. We're
And
going
that's
to make it.
relatively new, right? Like I don't know, but like now I have a lot of friends who work in tech here, and every tech office, like, there's every 5 feet there's like a freestanding granola bars, and who wants some raw trail mix, and we have a barista who works here. That wasn't like when I was young. You were like, who brought in their lunch and isn't paying attention? Because I'm taking half an egg salad sandwich when fucking 10 o'clock when no one's looking.
Yeah.
So now I think you can live pretty cheaply if you have a good job.
Yeah.
A decent place, you can just raid the setup. That being said, I think that the time that I figured out I was an adult was I was living in LA, and I had a job for a while, and then it went away. And I wasn't working, which is how it is in this business. Sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not working. And I had gone through a period of having a lot of work and then no work. And I owned a house, and I couldn't pay the mortgage. And I was like, fuck the entertainment business and fuck this house. How long do you think it would take us to set it on fire and then run away? Because it was just that thing of like, God, I'm a grown up and I have all these responsibilities and I don't know how to meet them.
Right.
I mean, right after that, like I got a big royalty check from some old job, and then I got another job. So, but it was like, I think when you're young, the first time you hit a bump, you've never hit one before, you're like, oh my God, now I'm a grown up and what do I do? And I can't call my parents, and I can't do what I would have done when I was 20. And then, now having gotten through the bump and thinking, okay, why I'll never put myself in a position where I would ever be that vulnerable again. You start thinking about your life differently, and then you get a retirement plan, you save, and you do all that grown up shit, 401ks and things like that.
See, I was talking about that. Yeah, I'm the worst at that. I have 2 401ks now. I don't know fucking shit about them. One of them updates me annually as what's happening. I'm like, oh, great. And the other one, I don't even know. I got to look into what's happening.
Oh, the one from when we were owned by Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. I have just money sitting somewhere. In
Yeah, I think
Well,
she's
you
having.
should both roll that over immediately. What's wrong with you?
into an
people?
IRA.
Yeah, or into Roth IRA. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know
I'm just
stuff
lazy.
about those things because I've been self-employed since I was 25. So I do know those things. Those
Yeah.
are grown-up things to know, right? Like
yeah.
what your investment portfolio is doing.
Well, you're
and
now our investment banker
Yeah.
planner.
I'm happy to help you. I'm really good with self-employment shit. I also, the other time I knew I was grown up was when the first time I bought single stock.
My God.
Oh.
When I did,
You were so grown up.
that's grown up. Like not buying a fund, like you not buying a mutual fund. Like I literally I looked in the paper and
you,
I was
like,
like, I want to
started-
buy this single stock, and I bought that single stock, and then the company had like a scandal and the stock went down, and then I bought more of that company's
Nice.
stock like a boss.
And it was all WWF.
It was Tesla.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good one to get. Yeah. I thought about it.
fantastic.
The E-Trade baby always makes good points during football games. That I
Does,
should
right?
I'm
You
like,
feel like I
"Eh,
should pay
if the fucking
attention."
baby's doing it.
E-Trade,
that's the thing.
baby, no shit.
The fact that we're affected by that shows that we're not grown-ups. Because, like, for me, I was just about to say this. I know that I'm not an adult because the only reason I knew I should do the 401k thing is because there's a Jay-Z interview where he was like, the one mistake I made when I was young was not doing 401k. And I'm like, well, Jay-Z's successful. I want to learn from his mistakes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I want this 401k.
And do you have a 401k?
I do now. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jay-Z. You did me
Are you-
right.
Are you putting money in it? Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Things are happening.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to save, man. We're all, but there's not, because there's not going to be Social Security when we're
Nope.
old. There's not going to be.
course not.
No one's going to save us.
Money
no one
will-
is coming to save
All
you.
we'll care about is antibiotics because it'll be the apocalypse by that point.
Yeah, it's man. So I have my topic. All right, good. Yes, absolutely.
All right, so you're not an adult. That's what you've come
I'm
down
just
on.
definitely not. And after telling this more, I thought about it, and you were mentioning the bumps and stuff. I don't think I've reached that bump that makes me an adult, where I'm like, I'm screwed. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I haven't hit that. Luckily, it's been more just like what you were saying about buying coffee and not thinking about it. Like,
Yeah.
I think those are the moments. It's like buying video games and not at all
Right,
thinking about
right.
it.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
before it was like, okay, I'm planning out the game I'm getting for months, and I'm like, I
Because
want
it's like
Metroid
$60,
Prime.
and
yeah.
and then you're gonna trade it in, and then
Exactly. You have to kind of
Totally.
like come up with this whole battle plan of trading things in at Funkoland. And now it's just more like, oh, I want this game. I'm interested. Cool, buy it. Or even more than games, just clothes. Like
Oh, yeah.
before, I would never buy clothes unless it was back to school or like specific things. Now it's just like, I like that shirt at Target. I'm going to buy this
Right.
pigeon shirt. Bought.
Nice, and you did it too,
I
and
did.
there it is.
He
He loves that pigeon
pigeons
shirt.
everywhere.
He talks about it all the time.
Yeah,
I do.
like a
He
pimp.
took his friend shopping for a job interview and then only bought himself a shirt.
No, he bought a shirt too. I just bought a better shirt. And he actually saw the episode I mentioned that. And he was just like, hey, I want you to make an addendum and go back and say that, no, that is not true. Your shirt's worse than mine. No,
it's a good
better
shirt.
than yours.
It's a pretty
dude.
pimpy shirt.
It's a real good shirt.
It's a pimpy
Real
shirt.
good.
Yeah, for sure.
Colin,
Did you
you're the most adult I know.
Oh, it's scary.
look
Yeah.
at your glasses? Very mature.
Oh, thank
Yeah, you
Yeah,
like these blue ones you got? These blue,
they're like
blue steel?
titanium or
Yeah.
something.
Thank
like
you very much.
Yeah.
Tiny babies in China made him these titanium glasses. and now he's
They
a
are
man.
handmade. They are handmade.
by Chinese babies.
In France.
Oh,
In France.
okay.
Maybe by
Chinese
Chinese
babies.
babies
Chinese
in
babies
France.
in France. Chinese babies in France.
They work for baguettes.
So I always think about when I was in college, and if I had 2 coins to rub together, I'd rub them together, then I go buy beer, right? Like you didn't really care at
Right.
that point.
Right.
You just
No consequences.
Total fucking ignorance about like what you were doing, right? And if I had a few, because I was freelancing for IGN at the time, if I had a few $100s, I'd be like totally rich. I would go get trashed and buy
of beer.
pizza and do whatever I wanted to do. And then when they offered me a job after college and I came here when I was 22, so that was in 2007, the financial realities of being an adult hit me. Because I came out here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy a fucking TV, I'm going to do all this cool shit. And then my student loans for my private fucking unnecessary university came in 6 months later.
Education is never unnecessary.
But like I went, I didn't have to go to a private school, right? I should have went to a SUNY school. But go to a good school, but understand what you're paying for. When I found out I owed $500 or $600 a month until 45 years old,
Right, totally.
I started crying. When
Yeah.
I literally started crying when I got the bill because I'm like, how am I? I was literally making after taxes at that point like $1,000 or $1,100 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
how the hell am I going to pay
How
for
am I
this?
gonna do it?
Like
Yeah.
I never asked my parents for anything as an adult, and I don't want to do that now.
Yeah,
so it's the same
100%.
thing Aisha was saying. And so that hit me, and that's when my complete financial paranoia kicked in. You know, like, and now I just hoard money, just like, because I'm so certain that the other shoe is gonna drop at some point that I'm you know, it hasn't dropped in 7 years, maybe it'll drop one day, but where I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about it immediately if it happens. So like,
but you would.
Oh, I would, but at least you know, I'm sacrificing now to have this money in the bank that where if something happened, at least I could live a normal lifestyle.
You want to put yourself into a fuck you position, which is where you're financially secure enough to be able to take the jobs you want, regardless of recompense, and turn down things you don't want, regardless of recompense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to have to take a job that you don't want because you need the money. You want to like be thoughtful and create the life you want. And that's the childlike part of you, which is like, I'd like to live the dream life that I want, and part of that is being practical financially so that you can be playful in the rest of your life.
Right. That's what I've been telling my girlfriend lately, because she just became a doctor. She's a forensic psychologist.
Well, you don't have
now.
to work at all, do you?
Just never let go.
So we all live in this. We all just live in this apartment together. But she always talks about, she still has the poverty mentality. That's what she always calls it. Like she buys something nice, and then she's like, I gotta go return it. And I'm like, you don't need, like, you struggled already. Now the struggle's over. Like, you have a great job, and so like, but I agree, the mentality is actually kind of positive.
Yeah, see, because that's the thing I started to lose for a second, because like, you know, Colin been with me forever now. He's, by the way, this is the one who watched me shit in the bush.
Oh,
he was the one who was there talking to me through it.
It's nice. That's nice. It's a nice moment.
It's where we solidified the friendship.
Well, you can never go. He'll kill you if you leave him, I'm sure.
But
like, you know, scrimping and saving, then is like, you get more and more money and stuff, then you start to let it go a little bit more. And I noticed, not recently, but like in the last year and a half, like I was letting go a bit too much. Dial it back. You know what I mean? Let's not be stupid here.
I had a moment this spring like that. Like I was like, we finally got to a position where I was like, we've been saving money. You know, I don't have any debt anymore. All I have is note on my house. Like just no obligations, no expenses, no, you know, little money put away for emergencies. I mean, you know, I don't drive like a Bentley or anything like that. But I was like, you know, I'm gonna go shopping. And then I went shopping a lot. And I wasn't ever thinking about, I don't care. I'm not like a Kardashian. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. But I was like, you know, I get some shoes. I'm going to go here. I'm going to take a trip to New York. Blah, blah, blah. I bought a car. And then I was like, all right, that's that. Like, I was like, that's not going to now be a pattern. Like, that was portion of my life. But because I'd much rather just always be sitting on a giant pile of like liquid filthy lucre than showing everybody that I have it, you know. And I always feel like really wealthy people always have holes in their jeans, because they're like, I don't have shit to prove to anybody. It's the person who's like teetering on the edge of poverty that has like all of their Gucci belts on at one time, you know, and I'm like teetering through them all with like 3 purses on each arm, like, look at all my shit. Like, no one gives a crap. I mean, I think the most elegant expression of wealth is security. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, being able to do what you want. You know what I mean? If you want the thing, you buy it. But not having anything to prove to other people.
No, I mean, that's the exact thing. I think about Larry David in that respect, who I think is like, he's got $500 million. And he wears sweatpants, and he's the funniest dude ever, and he doesn't give a fuck.
Because like, what's the point? Why am I trying to show you?
He drives a Prius.
I also hate people that look at you and try to pick out like your financial status. Like they try to look you up and down and try to figure out how much money you have based on what you have on. And I'm like, I didn't agree to this game, so fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing that by yourself, you know? Yeah. You like go to a store and they look you up and down and decide whether you can afford shit in there. My friends went into a cheese store the other day in the Valley, and they asked for a piece of cheese. And the lady's like, it's really expensive. And they were like, okay. And she's like, all right, but like, it's a really expensive cheese. And they're like, that's
making assumptions.
Cool.
Yeah, like that's slice the cheese. Yeah. So I just want you to know it's very expensive. And it was like $60 a pound. I think they got quarter pounds. It was $15. Like, I don't understand in what world $15 is an expense that like nobody can bear.
Yeah.
You know I mean, I arrived in an automobile. I have $15. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
You just know that there's a story of they've been burned.
Yeah.
Somebody, give me another piece. And $30? Oh my God.
I think if you go to the Whole Foods and you have a bag of apples and the lady says, you know, these apples are $15 a pound. So like, she says it once. So you're prepared that you know, you just bought $40 worth of apples, but not like as it, are you sure?
Are you sure?
She's slicing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was the thing.
Give me my cheese.
Yesterday I went to buy E3 shirts, and so anytime I went to Nordstrom's, not a fancy place.
For some reason, I thought you went to like there's like an E3 pop-up satellite shop.
There should be. There should be one in SFO. I'm just like, hey nerds, you want a collared shirt and a tie? We'll fix it. Come here. But I walked in and like literally like a few associates walked by and would like look at me and then just keep moving.
How rude.
It's like, motherfucker, I have an expense account.
Right.
Let's get these shirts.
I can afford at least 3 shirts.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of like judging that, you know, people on that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And like being judged like that.
No.
But the financial reality thing is cool when you suffer and kind of put away and do without to do with when you can, if that makes any sense. Like
Right.
when my girlfriend just randomly, like a month ago, Greg knows, like I just was like, let's go to San Diego. I got a beautiful place on the beach.
Yeah.
We'll just fucking wine and dine. I'll spend a couple $1,000s down there, like for us to get there and all that kind of stuff. And we can't do that every month, but then you can do it once in a while, and then it's special. You know what I mean?
It's go for it.
Yeah. So
and
like
you can go for it.
I like doing that kind of thing, and then I'll eat at home for a week and bring my lunch in or do that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I agree. I there's so much evidence now, like if you're judging people by the way they look and how they dress, to equate how much they make, you're making a huge mistake, especially in San Francisco where there's like all of these Twitter millionaires that don't give a fuck.
Right.
And
right. Or like walking around like wearing flip-flops and freaking board shorts.
The flops. Everywhere.
That's also, there's a cultural sea change about wealth, right? It used to be 40, 50 years ago. You're talking about our parents. You know what I mean? If you're rich, you wore a suit and a tie and you had on like, Brioni, shoes and whatever. And now I feel like all of those rules are kind of blown. So even the idea of like what the outer indicators of adulthood are gone.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my friend works here. He works in tech. And, tech is a pretty laid back culture, but still it's more corporate than the job I work in. And we had a huge argument actually, because he's a dick, about whether you should stand up when someone walks into a business meeting. And I was saying to shake their hand. And I was saying, I think the person in need is the person who has to be presentational. So if you're coming to me and you're pitching me and you're in my office, I don't have to stand up for you. But if I'm coming to you and I need something from you, I'm the one who has to stand. And he's like, everybody stands for a handshake. And I was like, I go to business meetings in fucking flip-flops. I barely stand up. I wouldn't stand up for the Pope. So, already, you know what I mean? Like, I feel all those rules
that's the thing.
are breaking. You know what I mean?
You always think of, I remember growing up and, Looney Tunes would make fun of Miss Manners or something.
Yeah,
remember that? And,
yeah.
that shit, there is no any. You go to, restaurants, and it's there's not those little
nothing.
forks anymore unless you go to, super fancy that's making a thing about that.
Right,
And so, that's the whole thing of, Colin always talks about, the fact of, being a little appreciative, being holding the door for somebody.
Yeah.
Well, these are things that are
politeness is basic. I mean, even if you
but
don't know
so
the
many people
rules-
ignore it, right?
Oh my
I feel like
God,
those
totally.
rules are totally
Yeah, and that's the shit that pisses me off. Like I always say, if I hold the door open for everyone, whenever I see someone and they're near me, I'll hold the door open for them. They don't say thank you. I'm like, you're welcome, really loud.
Oh yeah. Here's another one. I don't fucking work here. That's mine. That makes me absolutely apeshit bananas because I'm like the most pleasiest, thank you-iest person in the world.
You gotta be that way.
Yeah.
I know. Why wouldn't you? I don't get that.
It makes me feel good. I know it makes you feel good.
Also, we live in America. You should be stoked you're even here. Thank me for holding the door. You could be down in a fucking coal mine in El Salvador, gasping your last breath of murky, murky air.
I've hung out with you a few times. Probably the most grandmothery at Thanksgiving moment you've ever. You're ranting about America.
It's the greatest country on the planet, you ingrate. But yeah, being a grown up. It's like all the cool things are all the sucky things, right? Responsibility. Mm-hmm. But then you make your own money, and then you can do whatever the hell you want. You can have a bar in your office, and drink on a Tuesday afternoon.
You can have a Superman piggy bank.
Try to pick him up. He's
there
filled with money.
Oh,
that's my 401k. Look at him. Look at all that pocket change.
This is your 401k and also your weapon if anybody breaks into your studio.
Portillo distracts them at the ankles, and I throw that thing at their head.
Yeah.
They can't catch it.
I think another grown-up moment is those moments where you realize how stupid you are when you're upset about the dumb things. When I'm just like, oh, I have so much work to do. It's like, my work is about video games.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How this is me being an adult right now. Is me being upset about the fact that I have to stay 3 more hours to make this video about Mario Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
What? Mm-hmm. I should be so excited about this, and then instantly, then I'm like, okay,
Stoked all day long.
But,
Context is important.
yeah.
We always talk about that when I go home to visit my friends who are professors and doctors, and they talk about their problems and their families and this and their mortgage, and I'm like, well, yeah, and it's Colin's just beating me in trophies. I don't know if I'll ever catch up. What is a trophy? I'm like, don't even worry about it.
I can't find all the Firefly dog tags in The Last of Us. I never will. I've already left that part of the game. I missed two.
Damn it! That was my one shot going through there.
Start campaign over again.
Tim,
Yes.
what's your topic?
So my topic this week is: have you guys ever been caught having sex, or have you caught anyone having sex?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I can go first since I'm the guest,
Well, let's go
and I'm drunk.
Yeah, wasted.
No, I'm not. But this is a perfect buzz. So both. Definitely both.
Both. That's both of those.
I walked in on my parents when I was a kid. Yeah. I can't decide now if I remember it or if I remember the idea of remembering it. You know what I mean? Because I was pretty little.
Yeah.
I feel like I can see it in my head, and my parents both were like, "Yeah, that happened."
Did they stop? Were they just like deer in headlights?
I think my dad was like, "Mom and I having a conversation," you know. Whatever. My family's like they're kind of hippies, so there was never anything weird, but they were definitely like, the human body's natural, like don't freak out. So I think I saw my parents naked kind of around the house until I was maybe 6 or 7, and then they thought it was like started to be inappropriate. Yeah. But they were always like, the human body's a natural thing, like don't stare too long, but like, yeah. So I think I was just like, whoops. I don't think it traumatized me much. And then my dad definitely walked in on me and my high school boyfriend having sex. And he makes jokes about it to this day. He goes, man, because my bedroom didn't have a door, which I think was totally his engineering. But my dad was never home because he worked so much. So, we like fool around in the afternoon. And he just walked in and he goes, man, I caught you on the downstroke. That's what I have to say about it. So yeah. Both.
So what did he do? Did he just walk in, walk out? Did he make a joke about it?
I don't think he freak. I mean,
like Grandpa Simpson in the strip club when he just comes in and just does the 180 and back out.
I think he just, he might have tried to kind of act like he didn't see it and then went away to give us time to pull it together.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I mean, I'm sure I also probably got those kind of where you're fooling around in a car and the cops come. I'm sure that also happened in high school. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Pull it together.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, when you're a baller, shit goes down.
Shit goes down.
Shit goes down. Yep.
Greg, you're a baller.
Yeah, I'm a baller, but not to this extent. There was a few, the only I wasn't getting laid in high school, so there was no I was in there playing with my action figures. Superman Blue, Superman Red were up to shit. But
that would be like having sex with yourself, right? That was awesome.
But in college with my college girlfriend, there was a few times where and she was playing it up. I think she was super loud. We'd hear roommates would come home or whatever and be in the suite, and they were in the other room talking, and then she'd get super loud, and then we'd have to address that when we came out.
Yeah.
And then another time I remember in college staying over at her house, and her dorm room her freshman year, and her roommate was supposed to be gone all weekend and came home in the middle, and we were done having sex, and she was taking a shower, but I'm just laying in this bed naked, and I have a blanket on, and it's the other roommate came and we talked, we did that awkward chit chat for 5 minutes, and I'm like, so funny story, I'm naked right now. She's like, I thought so. I will go outside.
Also,
you know what I mean?
She should have followed her first instinct, which was to pull a Grandpa Simpson. I don't know why she's just chatting with you while
This
you're in the
isn't
bed.
normal.
BTW. Tagging your story, I did have this boyfriend in high school who had his room was in the basement, and he had a bunk bed, and the bunk bed was right near the ceiling, and so then we had sex, and then he went upstairs, and then he came back down. It's like, my dad is super pissed. A vent. It was just seeping up into the entire house.
Right.
And I think he had a little brher who was 11.
What are they doing? They're wrestling. Don't worry about it.
We're having a conversation in sounds and pictures. An out loud pictogram conversation.
Right. Colin?
Both. I'm not going to talk about me getting caught because that implicates too many people.
Many people.
It was an orgy. I call bullshit. I feel like you have to tell the story and just change the names to protect the innocent. You can't just say it happened.
So all right. So in college,
I hope it's my dad, and he's trying to come up with a different name.
I lived with. This was my sophomore year, I think. So I lived with 3 different people, and we had 2 bedrooms, so we had to share rooms or whatever. Mm-hmm. I lived with Ramon, who's one of my best friends from back home, and he was in his room doing whatever the fuck it was he was doing, playing music or whatever. So my buddy Kevin and Chris, who I'm still great friends with, they were both gone, and so my girlfriend and I at the time went into their room and had sex on the ground, on a towel, and we did this multiple times because Ramon was over the course of a week or whatever, our class schedules lined up or whatever. It was great. Right. But then once Kevin came home, and we were mid act or whatever, and he
Downstroke.
like
You want the downstroke?
and he walked in, and like he like the door kind of opened. I was like, ah! You know, like and he's like, oh, my, like, and I kind of like walk, like just like
So
kind
you're
of.
in his room.
Yeah, I was in his room,
that's-
but I'm like, I didn't. And then when I came out, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I wasn't in your bed. I wasn't in your bed." And he's like, so that's like still a funny story with us where
I wasn't in your bed. I wasn't in your bed.
that's why I was
Nice
like,
case of apology.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't in your bed. I wasn't in
that's why I was like, because I was
Temper your amount of anger here, because it's got to go down a few
Because I remember
bars.
she was like, "Why do we have to, do it on the ground, or whatever?" And I was like,
We're gonna do it on
you
the
know,
ground.
And I'm like,
Listen, baby, I like it
because,
caveman style.
I don't want to disrespect their beds. We'll just do it on the ground. Or we're not doing it to be in their room. We're doing it to not be in my room. You know what I mean? It's like
And
not.
why were you not in your room?
Because my friend, my roommate was in there and like wouldn't leave. And this, I think I told this story about like how. Like how the only time Ramon and I ever got into a fight was over
literal fist fight.
Yeah, like a literal fist fight was over.
you humping on his ground.
No, where I'm like, I need the room. This was even before this happened, and he was like, this is like one of my great friends. He loves this story, and he was like, and we're both like, why are you fucking idiots? And he was like, I'm like, I need the room. He's like, I'm in the room, man. I'm like, I would give the room to you if you ever had a girl over. You know?
Oh, and then he took a swing.
Yeah, and then
immediately.
he like, came at me. My other roommates, Kevin and Chris, who were like, bigger dudes. Chris is like pretty jacked up dude. Kevin's like a hockey player, so they're big guys. They just thought it was fucking hilarious that we were like fighting with each other. Just stood there and watched. I think Chris was like eating a sandwich.
Did you push him in the fridge?
Yeah,
or
so
something?
then I punched Ramon in the face. And in our kitchen, and he fell into the fridge, and the fridge shoved over, like,
Oh my
and
God.
like he fell in between the counter and the fridge, and then everyone just started laughing, and it was basically over. And we were all drunk, I think, too.
I was like, there had to be some other, some accelerant in that equation.
And then the story about walking in on someone, and I've walked in on multiple people, but this was the funniest one for me. Was again when we were with those same group of kids, but we were freshmen. That's when we met, and we walked in on. And I won't use any names, a friend of ours having sex with his girlfriend who was visiting or whatever. And all I remember from this, because it was a dark room and there was a bunk bed, like, the safe room or whatever, I guess, in the corner, because it was a little shitty freshman dorm, was him, like, kind of, like, on top of her, but, like, leaning up. And the door opens, and so the light from the hallway, like, casts in on him. And you just see him going, like looking over or whatever. And then we just were like but then you just like no doubt heard us like cackling in the hallway.
yeah.
So
Because
I'll never forget that, because that was so funny.
It was like a bird, like.
Yeah.
It seems like in college that's where you get most of those stories, right? Of
College.
like, I remember like my friend running into my room one time because we were getting ready to watch SmackDown, and he came in and he was all like, "I just walked by so and so's dorm and I heard his girlfriend in there saying, 'Ew, you got it on my boob.'" Like all these awkward moments of learning to be with the other sex while everyone can hear everything that's happening.
Oh, man.
Just drywall and open air.
Yeah,
between
doors with
you
like
and
that
the
much
next
gap
room.
on the bottom of them, so you
Yeah.
can like hear everything.
Yeah, one place that my friends Ramon and Pablo lived in Boston when we were seniors. They didn't have enough bedrooms, so they actually just went and bought drywall, and literally just put a piece of drywall in between like this shitty little room,
my
and that was
God.
it. So like it was just, there was like a gap above it and like gaps on the side, and they just like made a makeshift room. Like, this is weird when you have people over or whatever. And he's like, oh, the other guy's never even really here anyway. And I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah, or he's
Whatever.
there listening
Yeah.
quietly,
The
like
entire
a church
time.
mouse.
He's there all
that was
Pressed against the drywall.
that was the year where there was 7 or 8 people living together in this one place, not related to sex, but there was a guy that lived there. I think his name was Gavin, but no one ever saw him. Like the whole thing was like this guy paid rent and like had a bedroom and shit in a bedroom, but no one ever met him. Like that, like lived in this place or whatever. And I loved that story. I was like this elusive dude that just paid $700 a month to some fucking Boston landlord to like
drop
leave his
shit,
bed there,
leave
and
his
then
shit.
never saw him again.
Like Couch Guy from Half Baked.
Yes.
Like Couch Guy from Half Baked.
Remember that movie?
Yeah, but he showed up eventually.
Yeah, he was there. He was
Yeah.
always, and he took messages and stuff.
Yeah.
He was funny.
Like Brad Pitt in True Romance.
I didn't see that one.
Okay.
But he went to Mizzou, so I like Brad Pitt.
Oh, okay. Well, it's worth seeing. No, it's not. But it's worth just watching the part that Brad Pitt's in. It's
Okay.
very funny. It's like really early in his career.
Okay.
The one time I got caught was really bad
Oh, no.
because I was with my girlfriend, not my current girlfriend.
I was,
My-
that doesn't Tim
No
usually
incriminating.
drops his girlfriend in, and then the first time he ever did it was out of the blue, so we all made a big deal about it. So then he started going, "My girlfriend."
Yeah. So no, not
No,
her,
okay,
but,
so this girl does not deserve the hand motion.
No,
got
no
it.
hand.
Perfect.
So
No hand.
so things were going on, and this is a little graphic, but
Fabulous.
things were happening, and then we had the house to ourselves, and it was just awesome. When you have the house to yourself and you know that, then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to go a little crazier.
Yeah.
So everything's louder. Everything's just more like obnoxious. So that was happening. And we were guaranteed that her mom was not coming home. Her mom did not come home, but we didn't know that her best friend had keys to the house and decided to come chill.
The mom's best friend?
Her mom's best friend. Who comes and hears a noise, not knowing that we were at the house at all. Knocks on the door and like goes to open the bedroom door, and it had one of those like locks that had the little
chain
chains
locks
on it, so it kind of open. It just busts open. We got so scared, and it was just the worst because she goes to jump to like get well, it wasn't that bad.
Okay, thank God.
But I got so shocked that things happened just instinctively.
Like you had a stroke. You slipped a disc.
Yes.
You crapped yourself.
It's more of a
ejaculated.
yes,
Okay.
yes. That is what
We got there in the end.
What was it that could have happened?
I thought it was going to be
yeah.
one of those horror stories of like she's shifted and popped it.
And you broke your dick.
Thank God that didn't happen.
Happens.
I know.
That can happen.
But no, so this happens, and so I'm holding on to her, and she like goes to the no, because we didn't want to like get it because it was like it happened to be on her mom's bed, which sounds really bad. But
like you're the first person who had sex on their parents'
but whatever.
bed.
I was
At
just
least
like
put down a towel and fuck her on the floor like a gentleman.
So I was like, no. So we couldn't get that. So I like tried to. So then we have to be quiet because this woman's outside. Like, is everything okay? Is everything okay? She didn't know what was going
She's
on.
so stupid.
Right.
And I'm
How
like, oh my
stupid is
god.
she?
So we had to like
World.
stay together and do
Idiot.
that whole awkward shuffle thing. And then we tried owning it, and like we got off and like things fell out and we cleaned things really quickly. Tried to throw it on clothes,
I
but
love
it
how you're
was
talking about sex like nobody understands how it works.
no.
Things fell out. You'll know one
some other
day.
Things fell in.
and we ended up having to just own it.
Transformed.
The Autobots.
Back
They
into
rolled out.
Bumblebee, the Avengers disassembled.
But yeah, so we had to just own it because so the girl goes out and is like, oh hi, I haven't seen you for so long. And it was like so awkward and she didn't know what was going on. And at some point I was like trying to hide near the closet, like I knew that wasn't gonna work. And the mom's friend comes in and just like looks over at me and then she goes, oh, and I'm like,
my
oh god. Like she
Oh
really
my
didn't get it till
God.
this moment, but
Get out.
So did she
Yeah.
tell the mom?
I don't know.
How
I
could she
hope
not have? How could
yeah,
she not
she
have?
probably
I
did.
hope she did.
Yeah. But there's that. But
Were
my
they fucking on the
favorite
bed? That's the only question the mom asked. Tell me they were on the bed.
floor.
similar to Colin, I was
He's
like,
a gentleman.
I wasn't on the
He's
bed.
a gentleman.
He put down the Sylvester the cat towel, and they made love.
Beach towel with the lady's body, the torso, in a bikini.
But I have two stories of my friends. My best friend in high school, his girlfriend lived at their parents' house, so obviously couldn't do stuff there.
Sure.
So they went in their car because that's what high school kids do.
It really is.
And they weren't having sex, but they were doing other things, and they were having
Playing
fun.
cards?
But they were playing
They're
cards.
playing Magic.
Nice.
And they
Really
decided
sexy
to
cards.
park across the street from a police station.
Smart.
That's super.
The
Because
sweet.
that's what
safest
high
place.
school kids do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you fucking idiots. So a cop comes, no shit, and just starts knocking on the window, and he's just like, are you serious?
I kind of feel if you're a cop and you see kids fucking in a car, you should leave them alone.
Yeah, like who you hurting?
Take a moment to see whether it seems as if everybody's agreed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if everybody seems like they're having a good time, move the fuck
Let it
away.
be.
The kids wouldn't be fucking in the car if they had someplace in order to go. That's the thing. They're in the car because this is their only option. So leave them alone.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
So, I mean, he was
They've
just like,
exhausted every
I know,
legal
it's
route.
unkind in my opinion.
he left him alone after that.
Really?
Yeah. he
Are
was
you
just-
serious?
Yeah.
And then he left.
He was just like,
Bounced.
are you serious? And then
Oh, the
then he
cop
left.
said, "Are you serious?" I thought your friend turned around and went, "Are you serious?
Are you serious, officer?
Are you joking
Will you
me
stop me right now, bro?
Are you joking me?
No, but yeah, he's like, are you serious? And he's like, don't
like,
don't
yes.
do this. Just
Yeah,
don't do
I'm
this.
a
And then he
kid.
just walked away. And then they drove around the corner to the skate park. And did it
They went to
there.
the fire station.
Yeah.
Did it there.
But so that's ridiculous. But my favorite story.
In the driveway.
we have to go. We have to save lives.
My favorite story of all of this, and I might have told this on the show before, but one of my best friends, Alfredo,
We love
I love him
Alfredo.
to death. He calls me at like 3 a.m, and I didn't have a car. I was like 15 at the time, and he just goes, "Tim, I need you right now." I'm like, "What? You've never said this like this." And he's like, "Dude, seriously, I don't know what to do. I need your help." I'm like, "What's going
You
on,
have to
man?"
dispose of bodies.
I was gonna say there's a dead
like,
body
Bring
involved
shovel, lie, and
I'm
hacksaw.
on. He's like, "You know that building across the street from my house?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know how it's in like a really bad area?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm in my boxers on the roof right now.
Oh my god.
I just got caught having sex with my girlfriend. I had to jump out the window. I climbed the fire escape. I'm now on a roof. I don't know what to do.
Oh my god.
And I'm just like, are you serious?
He's in a boxers with his phone?
Boxers, though.
Yeah,
With
well,
his
he
phone.
got so. This is how Alfredo thinks. He hears parents coming, so he grabs his boxers and his phone.
Yeah.
Nothing
The
else.
essentials.
Cover your dick and get your
And
cellular.
he jumps out the window,
device.
climbs to the fire escape, and then he calls me, and I have to get a cab for him and do all this stuff, and the cab has to get him in his boxers.
because he has no money.
Yeah,
This is
so
pre-Uber.
he didn't get his wallet, but he got his phone and boxers, and yeah.
I think he
But that was
actually
one of the
planned
best
pretty
calls
well.
for
Yeah,
help.
that's
I
not that
ever got.
bad.
Yeah, I think he planned pretty well.
I love that this show exposes all of Alfredo's secrets.
I know.
remember
Yeah,
being
you know, Alfredo doesn't have secrets. He knows.
Alfredo
It's just-
needs you to sign an NDA, man.
It's like one of those things where we're fine sacrificing our personal integrity and our stories and our history, but then it's like the splash damage
Yeah.
of all of our friends.
Well,
that get
that's
sucked
why
in.
I'm trying not to use too many names. Well,
I love
boys
how
like
you
it.
started the story with, oh, this is going to expose too many people. So Chris was about 6'2". His blood type is O negative.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The high school sex thing, it's just funny to me because I used to have sex with my high school girlfriend in my house. But my dad would be like working outside, like on the lawn or something like that. And,
Like
like he
good
would always
dads
be
do.
like, "Don't go
Like good
upstairs,
dads
whatever.
do.
Like, don't go to your room." I'm like, all right. But certainly he knew, right? I mean,
How
like,
could
that's
he
what
not know?
That's what I always think is like like I used to think I was getting one off on my parent, like you know,
No.
over on my parents all the time, like. You know, you have no idea I'm drunk right now. You have no idea I'm fucked
They
up.
knew
You have no idea I'm
everything.
having. Yeah, and it's like you fucking know, right?
No.
Like, and I almost want to go up to them like, do you remember like this instance and this instance and this instance the way I remember it? And they're like, you'd probably be like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. And we just didn't want to.
I think
blow
your
your
parents
spot
are
up.
selective. There's like selective ignorance, and then there's just like this is what kids do. Like I feel like our parents were probably the first generation to get high and drunk and have sex at our age, and they just there's nothing. Like I have nieces and nephews now, and I'm like I said to somebody the other day, I was like, I'm sure this kid's having sex. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm like, you're an idiot. If you think that this 19-year-old boy is not having sex with his girlfriend.
That's not. I've told that to like even. You know, some family members that are concerned about like, you know, their 18, 19, 20-year-old kids having sex or like that kind of stuff. I'm like, what do you think that? What did you do?
Yeah,
What
do you
did
not
you-
remember
what
that
were
age?
you
Do you not
doing?
remember
Yeah,
that
like
age?
what of course he's like an 18 or 19-year-old boy. That's like all he thinks about. You know, like
That's all anybody thinks about.
and that's like, you know, at my old age now, I'm just like, I don't really care anymore.
oh,
But,
you're a
you know,
million years old.
Yeah,
It's
just so
amazing. It's
old.
amazing you can sit upright.
I know. You know.
I mean, I can hear your joints popping from here.
Colin's new old man thing is that he likes to go around and unplug every appliance that isn't in current use.
Adorable.
I'll come out, I'll start
Adorable.
fucking with my coffee maker. I'm like, wow, it's unfucking
Just
plugged.
buy
Jesus.
Colin or Vice Greg, buy a strip and plug all your things, and then you can turn them all off with one switch.
I just get a little paranoid about I don't want to fire.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not about being green. You're
No.
afraid something's going to spontaneously. Oh my God, you're like 1,000 years old.
Right now, in this room,
Ridiculous.
we have two power strips daisy chained together.
And then between them is one of those green Christmas light cords. Just like frayed
The
and
camera,
open at one
tripod,
end.
and lights are blocking the only exit.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense too. Because in my room, I have like my TV, my PS3, my
Right.
PS4, my Vita, my cable box, my stereo.
What's
all
a
hooked up.
Vita? Isn't that awful? Is it for masturbation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of the mind.
What
When you
is
want,
it?
it's the PlayStation Vita,
Oh.
the handheld. That's what most people say. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't.
What's the
I
Vita?
don't.
That was a perfect example of what the problem is with that, by the way.
She's
Shuhei,
an
I hope you're
Xbot. Everybody knows.
I hope you're
I
watching.
am.
the
I
show.
have a PS3, but that I bought it to play Blu-ray movies. Now I play games on it. But someone asked me, they're like, "What do you play on your Xbox?" I was like, "Blah blah blah blah." Like, "What do I play on PS3?" I was like, "Movies."
I like Ghostbusters.
But no, I know I am playing games on it.
Have you not gotten a PS4 yet?
No, I have a PS4. That's what I have. That's how much I know. That's how intimate I am with my PlayStation
Right.
deck is that I don't. No. I still have the PS3. I have an Xbox One and a PS4 sitting in their boxes still because I'm trying to play through all my previous generation games. And I feel, I don't know, I'm like, it's the same thing with books, right? I'm like,
yeah.
I have to finish a book no matter how much I hate it. It's like I have to finish these games before I can plug in my one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we gave up on some things on the well, like we finished BioShock Infinite, and then there's one other game I want to play on the one. On the old one before I put the one in. But I haven't played Titanfall. I haven't played Ghost because I'm waiting to plug in my one, and I haven't plugged in the 4 because what games are even for PS4?
What are you talking about? All the indies.
talking?
And DC Universe Online. Let it less.
You know,
not.
I only play shooters, so that's it. I only play shooters.
Killzone. That's a good shooter on.
Okay.
Yeah, you might
All
like
right.
that.
Fine.
I'm fine.
Good.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I don't rep a box. I rep a lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
I happen to play more games for the Xbox than I do for PlayStation, but I do love The Last of Us, and that's what I've been playing like for the last couple of months because I get 2 hours to game every week, which is so
Right.
sad. So I'm like squeaking through campaign on that game at the slowest pace possible. But
all the travel lately, it's convention season. It's just
Yeah,
killed the
there's
ability to
no
play anything on
time.
console.
There's
It's all Vita or
Vita.
DS.
Yeah. It's funny. I'll play on my iPad, but somehow I just feel like I'm such a console gamer that I don't want to play a version of a game that I play
right.
console, like handheld. As I play for iPad, it's a game designed for the iPad, and I'm
Exactly.
playing it in that context.
Yeah,
But-
I can't do the touch games for the most part. I need a controller.
Too
I need a
frustrating.
tactile. I
Like,
want
did
analog
anybody
sticks.
play Monument Valley? Mm-mm. That was like a super short, fast, like math-based game, like a puzzle game. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I heard
Like,
that people really
super
like
fun.
that
It's
game.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's fast. It's like a fast game. And the only thing I was frustrated by is that it went really quickly, but it was incredibly elaborate. I could see the like developers probably spent like 3 years like just figuring out how like the algorithm behind like the Mobius strip because all the puzzles are like super complex. But yeah, so I don't know, like. When I travel, I'm like, this is not the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to play some like miniature version of a better game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hear that.
There we go.
Colin.
Yes.
What's your topic?
Before I start my topic, I'm gonna just do a little ambush kind of
Guerrilla warfare topic.
Ambush compliment for Aisha.
Oh.
You are still the best talk soup / the soup host
That's very kind.
ever. That
Thank
was my
you very
first
much,
exposure
Colin.
to you.
Thank
You were awesome. I was
You're
amazed. I
rad.
loved
Thank you.
when you did that.
I
show.
loved doing that show. It was like one of
Perfect.
At that point in my life, it was the best job I'd ever had. And looking back, it's like top 3 for sure. I loved it.
Well, I remember when it was John Henson or whatever left or whatever, and then you did it afterwards, and I think there was like everyone's like, could it be as good? And it was better. You know.
Well, you, my friend, are my favorite person ever. Maybe a cocktail. By the way, am I the worst guest ever? That I have a coaster, and I've just been making rings.
Nick Scarpino's
That is
watching.
Scarpino?
Scarpino's watching over a
Giant
computer. It's like, no.
And I'm like, God, this glass is so ringy. I should really do something about that. Oh, a coaster. Okay.
No big deal.
There you go. You nailed it.
I did it.
I washed these coasters for you today.
Thank you.
That's
And
how you
usually
knew it was
just,
a big deal.
stained with blood and marijuana
Exactly.
residue.
We use them as throwing stars for just like hitting each other in the face.
So the topic is this. So it's real simple. We're all American. We're all natural born. We all have natural born citizenship of this country. And I'm your boy Colin's a paleo Republican, old school conservative. Loves
this is cute.
Loves America very much. So it's not about that. It's just like I really
It's not about that.
I unabashedly think America is the best country in the world. We're most economically vibrant. We're the freest. All those kinds of things. Great. But if one day the government became, say, tyrannical and they were like, you can no longer live in this country because you're not X, Y, and Z or whatever, and you had to go and they took your passport and they were like, we will send you to one place. And they'll take you. Wherever you want to go, they'll take you.
Start a new life.
Where would you go? You had to go and you have to settle in this place. So it's not like you have a choice and you go and then you can maybe try it out and then leave again. What country would you go to and become a citizen of that country instead?
Do they give me any kind of Johnny mnemonic chip that makes me immediately understand the language, or do I have to do all the legwork
No.
for that? Fuck.
It's gotta
You
be
go as an American.
Conditions as is.
Yeah,
I already know the answer.
What is
Shoot.
it?
I'm going to give you my 2 also rants, and then I'm going to give you my actual answer. So first I thought of France, because I'm a big Francophile. I speak French. I love the culture there. It's really beautiful.
Je
It's
m'appelle
old.
Greg.
Oui, bonjour, Greg. Je
bonjour,
m'appelle Aisha. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien?
So I love the food. I love that French people are really focused on like leisure and that it's a culture focused on family and friends and not on work, which I love my work. That's why I couldn't live in France, 'cause I love to work. But I do like the idea that like you work for 6 hours and then spend 4 hours with your friends drinking outside and then eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night. That rocks.
Right.
But it's the real estate rules are really like Byzantine. It's very hard to buy property there. It's very hard if you don't come from French landed family. It's hard to acquire real property unless you're incredibly wealthy. So, and I love France, but I wouldn't live in France. And then I thought of Canada because it's the most like the U.S. and they have universal health care.
It's
know
our
that
hat.
probably makes you absolutely
it's just
apoplectic.
infuriating.
But it looks the most like the U.S. They speak our language. Toronto's like a New York without all the urine. So that was my like second runner up. But I thought about it very hard.
Wait, what? So yeah, what's wrong? You had a downside to French.
So the downside to Canada was just I don't think it's as economically vibrant, and I think for what you spend, you don't get what you pay for there.
Okay.
You pay a lot, and you don't get everything you should get for what you spend. So
Like San Francisco.
like San Francisco. So Number one, Stockholm, Sweden. You know, you pay a lot, but you get everything. You could literally get like 5 master's degrees there on the government, 100% universal healthcare, 100% universal healthcare, 100% universal education to the extent to which you want to be educated, all on the government. Insanely safe, like no crime, like cradle to grave, just everything is taken care of. Food's amazing. The people are amazing. Everybody speaks English. Like the most beautiful country in the world, and insanely friendly, and actually you wouldn't think this, but crazy diverse. When I went there, I was looking forward to being the only black person in Sweden and like having everybody touch my hair and give me money. And there were black people everywhere, which was kind of disappointing.
Did they touch your hair and give you money?
No, they're like another black person. But the culture there's really like it's incredibly intellectual. It's really vibrant. They're really focused on like scholarship and history. And I've been watching a lot of Vikings, and I want to like I want to hang out with Ragnar Lothbrok. So so definitely Stockholm. When I went to Stockholm is the kind of city where, if you're lost, people will like read your facial expression and come up and walk you to where you are going.
That's awesome.
And if you go into a bar, you don't know anybody, and 20 minutes later you're singing like drinking songs in Swedish with like 50 strangers. It's the best.
That's really cool.
Plus, I love eating the flesh of moose and reindeer.
I just love eating flesh.
What about you, Gregory?
Oh, mine's easy. Japan. I love Japan. Japan's awesome.
Japanese don't like you though.
I know.
That's the
problem. I don't care.
They don't want.
I don't care. No, but see, like, that's always a hang up. I've been in multiple elevators where like, oh, you know, gaijin.
Yeah.
And then they laugh. I'm like, I'm the gigantic dude there in like my fucking Portillo shirt. And I'm like, what's up? I don't care. Because it's Japan's awesome. The food's great.
Food's
I love
amazing.
the food. It's my kind of city in the way that like I don't want to own a house. I don't want to. I always want to have a superintendent. You made jokes about this last night. I always want that. I want to have a kick-ass apartment, a kick-ass condo. And granted, it'd be smaller. Everything's so small
the
there.
actual size of your body, and you would have to sleep and eat vertically.
I'd live in a
You
capsule.
live in a cubby. Yeah, like those capsule
exactly.
hotels.
Yep. It would work out.
And you
all
pay
right.
$5,000 a month for it.
Well, it's no different than now. Like if I wanted to go live
You
on
have
my
a
own.
3-bedroom apartment, though.
Yeah, but if I want to go live on my own in San Francisco, I'm gonna get charged through
Yeah,
the head.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I'd
that's
go
true.
there. It's all built around video games. They love the video
They
game.
love video
That's
games.
where I want to go.
Also, if you'd like to buy used panties at a vending
Which I
machine,
do.
that is your city.
Everyone knows that about
That
me.
is
That's a
your
big
city.
part of
Sounds
me.
like a winner.
It's hard to get used panties here,
Yeah.
but, unless you know the person
Exactly.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Alfredo. No, but I mean,
Japan, huh?
yeah, it's clean. The people,
It is clean, and there is no, like, virtually no crime.
Yeah.
No, like, murders unheard of. High suicide rate, though.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be part of that system that pressures
You wouldn't be
young
that
people.
soul-crushing
Right.
system, because
See-
that's like ingrained in them right from the minute that they're born.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
the
kind of
honor and all that stuff,
oppressive-
and like
yeah.
that's the whole thing. Is even though they don't like me, they'd still be nice to me. They have
Do
to
you
be nice.
read
to me.
any Japanese fiction? Like
Every
if
so
you read
often.
like Murakami or
Well, immediately, no, not that.
I just read Number 9 Dream, which is actually not a Japanese guy who wrote it. It's the guy who wrote Cloud Atlas, but it was like written in the Japanese style.
Yeah.
And that is a really complex fucking culture, man. I don't know that I could unpack it. I
Yeah.
feel like I could live in my whole life and not figure it out.
There's a great book
Yeah.
called Tokyo Vice, and it's by this guy Jake Adelstein. He's an American. Went over there, was a reporter for a long time, and did all this stuff. And basically, what happened is the Yakuza was like basically put a hit on him. Like, you know, this guy's
Wow.
trying to expose everything. But it's his whole journey to that point, and like then after it, you know what I mean? So to read that book and see how he had to get used to the culture and what that meant, and like, you know, especially like me having a degree in journalism and like ethics and what that was to be a newspaper reporter, and see that shit's all out the window when he was like on the cops beat, right? Of like, really what he'd do is like go out with his lieutenant and get wasted and go to a hostess bar, and like that was how you built that relationship and did all that stuff. It was fascinating in that way, but also to see how an American would have to try to become part of that culture and how hard that is. That I'd be fine with, you know what I mean? Like, as a tourist being there, I was just there in November. It's so much fun. I love that city. People do a lot of people speak English. You
Right.
can get by not knowing Japanese, and that's why, like, I was still a story of like, you know, when I wanted to go into video games, I talked to Dan Shu through email back like when I was a kid, and he's like, yeah, you know, get a degree in journalism, that's great, maybe minor in Japanese. And I looked at it, I was like, this language is hard. No,
Yeah,
not a
and-
chance.
yeah. I mean, not just that it's not a Western alphabet, but that there are 3+ Japanese alphabets, right? There's like a modern, there's a traditional, there's an ancient, then there's a fourth that incorporates like Western concepts into kanji.
Right.
And even Japanese people don't know all the fucking kanji for their own language. They were raised there and they don't understand
Yeah.
it. And then beyond that, like even if you understand the literal translation of kanji, the ideas are so foreign. So they're expressing concepts that like even translated into English, we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how you type things, and I just don't understand how that works with all the characters and stuff.
Like
It's
with a
probably
keyboard
simpler.
and your fingers and stuff?
Yeah, but I mean, like, How do their keyboards look in
They
Japan?
have
Their own keys?
But I mean, if there's so many characters and stuff, how
I
does
think
that
their
work?
keyboards are. I think there's like they have keyboards that have like superimposed English or like Western letters on them, and then like really common, I guess,
Just the common ones?
like symbols, whatever.
But don't you think that I feel like it's like, you know, when you can hit that little translation key on your iPhone and then you can go from like, you know, English to another style of keyboard to emoji. I think that there's like you can hit from one kanji alphabet to a different kanji alphabet to a third kanji
Yeah,
alphabet.
probably, yeah. Yeah, because like when we read, I always use Google Translate because I write about PlayStation at IGN, so I'm always reading like Japanese sites, and I can't read Japanese, so I just drop them into Google Translate, and you always see it does a pretty good job. But you always, yeah, like a pretty decent job. Like again, it translates it literally.
Yeah.
So like you can
So
see
you
like
read,
how
like, what does this even mean?
like you could like figure it out. Like it's
Yeah.
just worded very
You
weird.
piece it together.
But like
all
they
right?
just throw random English like or like Western words and letters and stuff in between for things I guess that they don't
Yeah,
have.
but I mean,
symbols
I'm
for.
talking about like physical keyboards.
No, I know. I saw them. They do have like keyboards with some symbols on them, and then I think like they probably have function buttons that let them do
code
5
and
different
function
like
and-
different kinds of
That's
things.
that's crazy.
But yeah, as far as I understand, like you can have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old and still be learning like all the fine symbols or whatever that you don't know. My time in Japan was awesome. I love it over there. I want to go back. I'm fascinated by it, but I'm fascinated by it from the outside. You know,
Right.
like.
Well, that's why it'd be so awesome to go there and get immersed in it, right? Like, I think that's the way to do it.
But I don't think you could. Like that's the thing is like I don't think that like it's.
I mean,
such
I
a-
would never be a native.
I mean, the only older culture. Well, we decimated the Native Americans, and the ones that are still here have been like, you know, subsumed. So like really the oldest culture besides Japan is China. So that's an old ass culture, Japan. It was like 3,000 years old. Ours is like 200 years old. So like
best 200.
it's insanely, it's pretty awesome.
It's been a good 200 years.
Yeah, it's been pretty compressed. But like, so like there's just complexity there, like on an order that like we don't understand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that we're not a complex culture, because like I mean we got the Kardashians and we got like Kanye West, so there's like a lot going
There's
on.
a lot
They
going
came
on.
together.
Like a lot
Yeah.
going on in our culture.
Yeah, they got Bow Wow for a bit in Tokyo Drift. That was
Please,
a-
Enough of that
please
hot
stop.
minute. That one
Don't
hot
bring
minute.
up Fast and
It worked
Furious.
well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just
Is that a painful subject for you?
it's not
just like-
it's not a
it's
commentary in the Japanese either. Like they,
Hour-long rabbit hole with this guy.
they're a homogenous society, so it's like it's just I think it would be, and that's not a commentary, and that's the way they are, and that's
Yeah.
great. It's just like that. I just feel like breaking that wall is like going to be
Very difficult.
really difficult.
And their fascination with you is like limited. You know what I mean? Like to a point, they're interested in. And they're not
All
really
right,
that
fat
interested
tall guy,
anymore.
we get it.
I think Japan. I mean, we always talk about like we grew up playing Japanese games and loving Japan through the games that we played
Right.
because at the time, as younger gamers might not know, everything came from Japan, and
Yeah.
and I think that they're fascinated. We're fascinated more with Japanese culture than maybe we are by the minutia of the everyday Japanese life, and I think that they're fascinated by American culture.
They are fascinated by American
but
culture.
like maybe not by us.
Right.
But by like.
But I feel like teenagers are really into Western culture. Like they dress like us, they listen to our music. All the like the young Japanese kids like dreadlock their hair. Like Asia's really interesting right now. Like kids who are like 10 to 25. Like I'm really into Korean pop, and the guys who are most popular in Korean pop, like the most popular kid over there is this guy named G Dragon, and he does videos where he's got like blonde dreadlocks and he's dressed like or cornrows, and
Yeah.
he has like a baby bear on a chain. You know what I mean? So like they just are like appropriating our shit. Like all the puppets they're all crumping and breaking and wearing like acid wash denim from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So they're incredibly fascinated by
Right.
us. I mean, they're mimicking us. Whether like,
Thank you.
Yeah, well, because we're awesome. But whether that's like that level of obsession would like continue on like an everyday kind
Right.
of quotidian level, I don't know.
Well, it's like when we were there in November, there's this ramen shop I always talk about for my first TGS, for my only TGS actually. So, and that was like what 08, 09, like forever ago. How great, it was the best ramen ever, yada yada yada. So we made a point to go there, and we walked in the first time, and they were like, "No, we're not open yet," kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, great. And then we came back when they were open, and they were just straight up like, "No,
we don't want to.
we're not going to serve your kind."
That's
And they're
totally
like,
legal there.
Wow.
too.
Yeah, I know, totally.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
They
wanna
do- don't they
serve,
do
like,
that?
Yep.
Like when they don't want to talk to you, or like
Yeah,
don't
Scott
want
Lowe,
you to-
Steimer, Cindy, I think Warren, they were like, "Nah, you guys can't come in here."
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
That's completely illegal in the United States and totally
I wasn't around the
legal
corner at a
and totally-
sushi boat though. I was happy.
Do you feel like there was something you could have done? Like, do you think that was just like we don't want gaijin, or were they like?
I think if you could have
if you
talked,
came in
if
and
you could have
had
spoken to them, because that's the other thing too. I think that Americans have this stigma around the world, right? Of just being the guys with the cameras who don't know their language and don't give a flying fuck.
And,
Don't
just
care
come
about your
in,
culture.
and if you don't understand, we just talk louder.
So if you could come in and
Yeah.
explain and like be, no, I'm not like some weirdo tourist. They'd be, oh, maybe, that would work
Yeah.
out.
Well, I think there's like basic formalities. It's a really formal culture. So like, everybody always talks about how rude the French are. But one thing I figured out when I was there, and there's an American expatriate has this really great website. He talks about like living there and what it's been like and integrating the French culture. And essentially, like there are French formalities that Americans don't know. And if you engage in those really basic formalities, people treat you totally differently. So, for example, when you walk into a store here in the United States, you walk around and touch everything until you want something, and then you engage with the staff. Over there, walking into a shop is like walking into someone's home. And the first thing you have to do is acknowledge the staff and say hello. Like it's like coming into someone's living room and being like, and not making eye contact with them, and they're so offended by it, like they think you're an animal. So all you have to do is come in and say hello. That's all. Most Americans don't do that, and they, in fact, because we avoid shop staff most of the time. We don't want to talk to them, and so they just think we're just dogs. And so then they treat us like shit, and we think they're rude, but it's because we've just come in and like touched all their shit without
Insulted them,
acknowledging. So if you knew like the 3 or 4 basic Japanese things you have to do when you come in, like they say hi, you bow. Like if you just did those 2 things, you probably would have had a totally different experience.
And that's the whole thing, right? They when we go to TGS on business, I thought you were going to lick my phone.
That would have been weird.
Yeah, it would have been weird.
You
just going nose to nose with my
giving
dog.
Portillo
It's
in
weird
there.
at all.
I was
Don't
giving
know
him a
about that.
noser.
When we go to Japan for TGS, right? I remember when they were briefing me on what to do, and always take your business card, present it with both hands like this, then look at there.
Yeah,
like, dude,
look at the business card.
Don't
Because
just
usually we just take
put
it,
it
we're
in
just
your
like,
pocket.
Yeah.
look at it later.
Thanks.
It's like it's like super offensive. Like
So offensive.
the one thing that I couldn't learn over there, no matter how much I tried, and it was like I think it was starting to piss people off, was like buying things and handing people money. Like you don't do it. You have to. They have the tray. You put the money in the tray, then you pick it up and hand the tray to them. To the point where like people would take my money and like look at me and like
Put it in the
stamp
tray.
the money on the tray and then like take the tray. And I was
Wow.
like, like sorry.
Yo, I just want my double cheeseburger, yo.
I just think we have to just look at it. We look through things through American eyes, right? Like it's like Rage Against the Machine used to sing about, Greg.
American eyes?
And
Got these American eyes.
when we hold people to certain standards, like when people here like learn English,
Yeah, we
like
are.
you're
You're in
like,
America. Speak English.
and I frankly completely agree with that. Like you're in the country. If you're going to work at a store and you can't speak to me, you do not belong working at that store. I'm totally fine with that. You know what I mean? Like that's totally fine. But then we cross the border,
And then we're
and then
pissed.
we're just like whatever,
Yeah,
and it's like I'm like that, and I think it's totally hypocritical. I mean, I go to Germany or England's different. I guess Germany or you go to Japan.
Yo,
or
you're
whatever,
in England. Speak. Oh, hell no.
and you go to Japan, and I'm like, and I just walk up, I'm like English.
Yeah. Or
Like if
not
someone
even
did
try.
that to me
be so
here,
offensive.
I'd be like, what?
Right.
You know, and so it's like very American.
Here's the
double
thing.
standard.
Also, you have no excuse because like nowadays the number of tools available to you to make you just like functional anywhere
Yeah.
are so
Right.
like wide. Like when we went to Sweden, we just got a like Swedish for Dummies app. I learned like good morning, hello, please. I learned like 10 Swedish words, and then it got me around everywhere I went. Now, also everybody in Sweden speaks English, but we went all the way to we went like 100 kilometers inside the Arctic Circle, and then there were very few people who spoke Swedish up there. But like literally, we were staying at the Ice Hotel, and I found this drunk old guy trying to get inside at night, and it was like freezing cold outside. He was like wrapped in a blanket,
He's just punching the walls.
And I had 7 Swedish words, and I used all 7 of my Swedish words, and I got him back inside, and like in the supervision of his family. And if I just been like English, you know
What do you want, you idiot?
Yeah, like why I'm literally like at the North Pole. Why would I assume that somebody would be speaking English there when you can just open up the app and be like, how do I say good morning? Like now we have no excuse. 50 years ago, I think we did.
Right.
Yeah, and then we're mad, and we think, people in that country are rude when they're like, oh my God, his filthy money is all over the counter. The lady who does my nails, because Hollywood, is Japanese, and so and I really make a point of like taking all the money out and then presenting it to her with both hands, and I bow, and then she takes it and she bows, and it's like, why not be respectful? You know what I mean? Like, why not try? Because we are the best country, but we're not the only one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Amen.
One day we will be.
Well, that leads to my topic, but I think there are other people who.
Yeah.
Oh, who hasn't answered?
We've been talking about Japan forever. Colin, where are you gonna live? You love America. You are America.
Yeah, my first instinct I'm going down with the ship. But if
You
that,
don't want
They
me.
don't want you.
I don't
They
want
don't
you.
want
It throws
you.
open the trench coat, the bomb.
then I probably joined whatever rebellion was going to happen.
Oh
at
my
that point.
God.
But if that didn't happen,
Cheyenne.
Oh my God, he's like a prepper or something. All right.
it's gonna my own version of Jericho is gonna happen. And then I was thinking,
hold on.
Yeah.
The other day, tell her. I don't. He tweeted the other day about his girlfriend wanting to throw out medicine.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend was like, I have like all these meds. I had like minor skin cancer or whatever, so I have like several years ago. I just had like these medicine. I just never threw it away. And she's like, "Can we throw the medicine away?" And I'm like, "No, because we might need to trade the medicine for goods during the
Oh,
post-apocalyptic."
God bless you. You guys are all over my topic. This is very exciting.
So my first instinct after going down with the ship or fighting the rebellion with my "Don't Tread on Me" flag flying in the battle would be
that you made on a paper towel.
right, exactly.
Yeah, some marker, some
yeah,
Sharpies.
that I traded some
For
skin
your-
cancer medicine
for your expired meds from 2004. I've got three anti-cancer pills from 2004. I'll trade them for that granola bar and a Band-Aid.
for that bounty paper towel roll. So then I was like, I'll go to Canada because hockey's my favorite sport. Spent time in Canada, like it up there.
Canadians
Again,
are nice
It's
people.
very much like America. They eat the same food, speak except for in Quebec
Their
the same
bacon
language.
sucks.
Canadian bacon's a little wax sometimes, unless it's cut really thin. It's good in pizza.
It's not bacon.
It's good though. Look at
It's not
it's ham.
bacon.
I know it's not bacon, but I'm not just going to let you talk shit about Canadian bacon.
I will fight you over this.
Do I need to remind you of
if
a
you
little
call
thing
it-
called eggs Benny? Thank you. The defense rests.
A little thing.
But then I'm like, Canada's too easy. What I want to do is I want to go back to really the homeland, right? I'm going to go to England and hang out with them.
The homeland.
I'm going to remind them that we beat the shit out of them.
Which they're going to love.
They'll love you. They
and
want
then,
you. I'm
and
sure
then
they
they're going to
want you.
remind me that they probably could have beaten us if they really wanted to, which is probably true. Then I'll remind them that that's probably true. Then I'll be like, remember Edmund Burke, and we'll get into this history argument. Then after that,
Who are you talking to exactly?
I don't know.
This
I'm
is
talking
the
to some
tape
states-
taker.
He's talking to Little Lord Fauntleroy.
So then I think I'd settle in England because I think that we're kindred with the English,
Yeah.
right? We're really not kindred with the Canadians. In fact, we tried to invade and take Canada in the War of
They
1812.
also
So we don't
burned
have.
down the White House.
They
but,
did. They did. Yeah.
I think actually though we are kindred with the Canadians. I mean, even though we fought on opposite sides of that war, culturally we've completely infiltrated them. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we are the Borg. We've already assimilated Canada. They speak like us, except for the Aboot. They sound just like us. They
We
watch
send
all
all
our
our
TV
stars there
shows.
to make our TVs.
We take all their stars away from them.
Sure.
I mean,
Well,
you
they know where to go.
Yeah, they know.
We just
they
go
know
up
where
there for the
money
tax
is.
break,
Yeah.
film Smallville, come back, done.
I feel like we're good friends with the Canadians, and I like them, and I like going there. I think I'd love to live in Ontario or British Columbia.
You could
I mean, those
also buy a lot of land up there. The place is practically uninhabited.
I can live in Moose Jaw in a fucking mansion.
in a mansion on an estate with moose, actual moose.
Yep.
I like that.
And they have cool city names like Yellowknife, which I
And
really
Regina.
yeah Regina.
Shout
Yeah.
out to CJ Gibson.
But yeah, I think I would go to England and hang out and kind of catch up over there. I always thought it would be really when I was studying history and was going on the history track for my master's and PhD before I decided to write about video games instead. I always thought it would be fascinating to teach American history in England, and because they're taught the American Revolution, for instance, over there is a civil war. For us, it's a revolution. And so like they learn everything. It's like the Southerners with the War of Northern Aggression, and like
Only not as racist.
yeah, no, not nearly as racist. Equally as dumb.
Yeah, what?
So I always thought that was always kind of my dream was to go over there and be like, I'm going to teach you American history from an American point of view.
And I'm going to teach you the real history.
I'm going to teach you the real history. I'm going to teach you why you suck and how we beat
suck.
you.
The name of this course is Why You Suck.
101.
If you'd like to continue the discussion, there'll be an after-school discussion, 102B breakout session.
Pop
Why
quiz,
you
one
suck
question.
more.
Do you suck? Pass, fail.
I'm going to teach you why Cornwallis was whack. I'm going to teach you why George Washington's your god.
Yes.
Etc. and so on.
UK, yes or no, suck an American dick. Answer. Or
no,
a bag of American dicks, depending how you look at it.
But I really love England because we were talking about old societies, right? And old, and really a continuation of old societies. And obviously in East Asia, the Chinese and the Koreans and the Japanese, very old societies. Even the Vietnamese, Thai. I mean, those, they go way back. But in Western society, the British really are as OG as it gets in terms of continual monarchical reign. You know what I mean? And
Older than the Nordic states, I would say no.
no,
Old?
but. Yeah, old. Okay,
Old.
that's true. I wouldn't consider the Nordic states necessarily what I would consider pure Western Europe, but
Okay.
Like England, France, Spain,
This is
Portugal.
No one's ever challenged Colin on a point. We all just nod and we're like, that sounds right.
I mean, until like for example, like a big part of the British Isles were populated by the Nordic peoples. I mean, like they came over and they
the Saxons and all
yeah,
that?
yeah. I mean, even pre our kind of like Saxon Anglo conflict, like when there were tribal Saxons coming over there and like landing and like settling.
Right. No, that's true. I just consider the Nordic states to be Eastern Europe.
I think that's crazy.
That's just.
That's crazy.
Like there's Eastern Europe as Russia is.
No, Russia is where Eastern Europe starts. That far north on the globe.
Then it's just Russia.
Yeah, well, that's
so like none of the satellites or
Russia, and then like going down all the Slavic states, but like west of say like Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
So France, Germany, that like meridian north.
I guess
includes the Nordic states.
I guess I just look at it in terms of Cold War Germany cut in half, and then I see that line going up and down Europe. And so
That's
everything.
a totally arbitrary line.
But it's not because that was Russian.
Divisions. We're talking about historical divisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So like 2,000 years ago, there was no line between Germany separating Western and Eastern
Nothing
Europe.
happened with Germany yet.
Yeah. So
that was a long ways away.
I mean, I think the further north you get, the more kind of like unsophisticated and inelegant those cultures are. But I think before there were people living and building the monarchy in the UK and the old British Isles, they were coming from the Nordic states.
Sure.
They were bringing their ideas and their culture from the Nordic states.
Yes.
And especially all of the Nordic
I acknowledge
tribes.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. You are right. You are
I
right.
acknowledge that.
But I've always been really into just American history, and people always ask me, "Are you into Spanish history? Are you into Japanese history?" I'm like, "No, not really."
Mm-hmm.
But I am in English history, and I like reading about it. So like, it's just they have a certain tenor there that I like really like historically. Like they're really dedicated to a monarchy, even though it doesn't really do anything anymore. And like, there's a really rich.
And you don't think that indicates like a certain lack of sophistication?
I think that
they're clinging to this like dusty, dead tradition that means nothing, and they would even admit it means nothing. I mean, she has no real power, no effect on government. She's a suck. Like we just started talking, but like they're literally like a massive tax drain.
Oh, I agree.
They add no value, and they suck the taxpayers dry over there.
But I agree. I mean, I've had this conversation with people and asked them about this because I think only 20 or 25% of British people don't want the monarchy, which is an extraordinary number because there's a consensus there that they do want it. Mm-hmm. And I guess their argument is that it brings tourists in, and so like it's mitigated, like the cost is mitigated.
That's the thing. How much money do they make off of
and
license fees?
They're very
and stuff,
philanthropic
right?
and
T-shirts and coasters.
Grandma Miller was awesome and a huge Chicago Bulls fan, and I loved her for that. But she also had a cabinet full of Princess Di and Charles shit,
right? Like
spoons and little fucking china
dishes.
glasses.
I don't disagree with any of that. Like I think we saw that in the 1770s and 1780s and told them to go fuck themselves.
Right.
But I appreciate there's two ways of looking at it. Either that like it's like a backwards kind of thing, like where they're afraid of letting go, or it's just tradition. And I think a lot of the way we look at it in America is like, well, we're too young to have that kind of tradition. And I wonder how we would feel if like we had this, with the exception of Cromwell, like basically an uninterrupted group of kings from different families since like the 1300s or the 1200s, if we would just be like, nah, done. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how we would feel about that.
I think it's antithetical to like the essential nature of the American spirit that there's one family that gets to just bleed and suck on the teat of the public commerce without returning any value other than tourism. You know what I mean? And
I don't disagree. I just kind of look at it from I think that's the way they look at it, is saying like we're not so quick to just destroy this history. And I don't disagree. I mean, people tried. I mean, people did in France and succeeded. To an extent, I guess, a bloody kind of thing. Robespierre.
They killed everybody. They were like, this shit is never coming back. Yeah.
And fuck it all.
And then Napoleon tried to sneak his way in there, and they were like, and fuck you too.
Yeah, go to your island.
Yeah.
Elbow, whatever the fuck it was called. Mm-hmm. And, and obviously the Russians did their thing, and that didn't turn out very well for the, for
they've
them.
got their own monarchy now.
So, they killed everyone, except for Anastasia, who apparently lived in
movie.
Texas until the 1970s.
She lives in a Disney.
So anyway, I just try to look at it from their perspective. Like, I really feel like that's an OG country.
It gives them the identity. I mean, that's about cultural identity.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, like, I wouldn't want that. I'm proud of our republic that we elect our people, and even though we have machines here, and we do have political families that are basically dynasties, it's not like that. It's not.
Did you read The Family? I'm reading The Family right now. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean,
Summarize.
well, I'm only a little bit of ways into it, but the family is essentially that there is this like kind of like ultra Christian governing body of people that work behind the scenes that all like essentially all the stuff that they said in that movie. What was it? The Bone. What was that movie about?
Winter's Bone.
No, the one about the Yale about Skull and Bones.
Skull.
Yes, that
Skulls. Wasn't it Skulls?
maybe it was called Skulls. It, like essentially that there is this like kind of like
Pacey was
shadow government of like ultra Christian right wing conservatives that operate in the shadows, and they all know each other and they interact and they support each other, and that they all like meet in this like evangelical, this like kind of like hidden evangelical culture. So we have our own kind of monarchical, self-perpetuating society. I mean, it's not like it's familial, but it's, you know, more cultural, of people that assist other people and anoint
people.
them. Yeah.
Well, these right wingers aren't doing a very good job.
Nope.
Keep losing.
I know. It's not going to stop. It's not going to end anytime soon. So yeah, I think I would choose England. But again, if I had it my way, Greg,
You go down the ship.
I would bleed to wrest the United States back from this tyranny before I would try. And then if they're like, no, you really got to go.
You know what? We've given you enough
We don't want you to take
chances,
it
man.
personally. It's nothing personal. We don't want you.
Yeah, we just
Yes, we
your
can't.
shit's not gonna, your libertarian dream world's not gonna happen here anymore. Your dream of a Republican Party that is socially liberal.
It doesn't hate gay people and
Not
doesn't
gonna happen.
No.
That's not, I actually like fiscal conservative social.
No,
I just find them amusing. I just find that particular Republican is like kind of like socially progressive, and then
That's
like,
me.
That's Colin.
It's cute. It's very cute. It's a very cute combination of qualities.
It's just it's one of those things.
That's my college boyfriend. You know, it's like he's like super progressive culturally and then super conservative financially. Now he's a big hippie, so he came around.
It's
But,
got to change
yeah.
eventually. They've got to change the Republican Party, right? They're going to keep losing.
They just should stop letting these crazy people pull them so far to the right. You can't
Yes.
be so right. You can't win the base and then move to the center. It's not working.
It's the primary system that hurts them because these people can't win the primaries. And then, like, when Romney wins, he's so injured. Even though Romney was a great candidate, like in my opinion, like he was totally fine. But to me, like the dream Republican Party is like legalize drugs, legalize prostitution. Accept that gay marriage is the truly conservative stance, which I've been arguing for years. Because if you believe in live and let live, then that is live and let live. Women's right to choose, all that kind of stuff. Get rid of all the social programs, get rid of income tax, do all, like basically just a libertarian utopia. Like that is, you earn money, you keep money, you want to give into a thing for the poor or whatever, for the government to pay the poor, you get money
what
back
about
from
social services like the police?
Oh no, that's fine because that's all local. I mean, I believe in the 10th Amendment.
What
things
about
that are not
what about a
enumerated.
standing military?
I don't know. I think we can have 10% of the military we have right now. And then I think that if my personal opinion is that if something is worth going to war for, like when we fought the Nazis, which I think was absolutely righteous, even if the Japanese didn't fight us, we should have fought the Nazis, and the Nazis wanted peace with us, and we should have fought them anyway. Then you better have a draft. If you think it's worth fighting, then you get everyone involved, and if it's not worth that, then you shouldn't go, and that's the lessons we should have learned in Korea and Vietnam, because we had drafts and no one wanted to go, but everyone wanted to go to fight the Nazis. So like it was
Captain America saw it, documentary. Yeah. He wanted to go.
So yeah, I believe in a complete disabling of like the federal government in terms of its power and prestige. Otherwise, like, because I think that brings personal freedoms, and then everyone kind of meets in the middle. We all kind of want the same things, which is happiness and to be left alone. Yeah,
I think the big problem is that's not what we all want. Some people want to like exploit everybody else and amass wealth and fuck that guy, and they don't want to pay in, and they don't. I think the problem is if you're like a conscientious libertarian, you would be the kind of person that would like give to your church or give to your local organization. But most people like me, mine, down. If that guy's in the street dying of cancer or he's been stabbed in the gut, that's his fault, and I have nothing to do with it. And I think that the main thing that government does is maintain a certain socially focused moral line that most people would not maintain on their own. It's literally the collective social conscience, which is we have a responsibility to other people, but most people, given the freedom to amass wealth without restriction and without obligation, would just do so and let everybody die around them, and they build a moat around their fort and fuck all the small folk. And if you're dying of boils and shit, that's your own fucking problem.
Yeah,
And that's why we have government.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I still think that can be on the state and local level and not from the federal government.
California's doing awesome.
I mean, like
It's like Schwarzenegger.
I mean, this is the thing we were talking about with like in Canada, like you pay a lot and you don't get a lot and all these kinds of things, and even
In Sweden, you pay a lot and you get a lot.
Yeah, but like these are very small countries with very small
Yeah.
populations, and like basically the lesson of history is that socialism doesn't work. So like Like, there's no great example of, like, everyone's like, why don't you have universal health care in your country of 310 million people? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like,
I mean, maybe the size of the country is unmanageable. Because
Yeah.
it does work. It does work in the Nordic states. It works. There are
Right.
several countries where, like, people's, like they said, like, the quality of life is really high, the standard of living is really high, the life expectancy is really high, the infant mortality rate is super low. I mean, there are countries where, like, it is working. Sweden is a country where it's working. Maybe it's because it's small and relatively homogenous.
It is because you can have a consensus opinion in those places of, like, this is what we want. Like, in the United States, where there's, like, basically 10 different countries here anyway, and half the people in the country don't even really want to be in the United States anymore anyway. You have people in Texas wanting to secede, people in California want to split it into 2 states, like, all the, like, you can't.
If Texas split off, it would just be like dust and cow patties and be like, wait, where'd our food and water go? Wait, guys, come back.
Yeah.
All we got is oil and steaks.
I want to know if they'd still be in the NCAA. Do we still have to play them in football? Because if not, that changes the fucking
the whole
shit. They'd stop. They wouldn't go.
Oh, we'd be fucked 7 ways from Sunday if Texas left the union. They have, like, half the military bases, a ton of oil, a lot of money. You know, like, we don't
And
want
hook 'em
that.
horns,
But
don't
the
forget.
point I'm trying to make is that, like, part of having, like, a free republic is that, like, no one agrees on anything, and that's part of the way it is. So, like, we have to disagree, in my opinion, on just very specific certain things. You said in Social Security, we're not going to have it. Of course we're not, because it's fucking completely ridiculous that it even exists. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
not ridiculous that it even exists.
yeah.
No! Oh my God! We've got to move on to the next topic.
Tim, where do you want to go? Where are you going to live?
When your grandmother has to move back in with you because she doesn't have any fucking way of paying
She
her
can't move in
bills
here,
or
Colin.
drugs.
my grandmother's dead.
Okay, well, see what you
I
did.
saw to that.
If she had Social Security, she'd still be alive.
I'm simply going to Canada. Sounds easy.
I was going to say,
you gave me good points.
your answer is going to be easy.
Yeah. Like, there's no way. Like,
have you left the country?
I've never left the country.
You've never been out of America?
He's 24. He's a youngin'.
Oh, God, you're like 4 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so that just sounds like
It just sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. The thing is, like Colin was saying earlier, like growing up little kid playing video games, yeah, Japan is the go-to answer. You're like, oh, that sounds awesome. But like, you're right. Like, I don't think I could assimilate like that. I couldn't learn that. I couldn't do all those things.
I'd go over there. I'd
too late.
get a spare room in Shuhei's house. Me and Shuhei Yoshida learning everything. It'd be amazing.
Well, he'd love that. He would really be down.
No, but also Canada is, I mean, they speak English. They seem pretty similar to us. Every person I know from Canada, I'm just like, okay, cool. We're the
Canada's
same,
rad,
we're
by the
same
way.
people. Yeah, I'm
It's
sure
like
I'll go
great.
there
It's great.
eventually at some point.
Part of the reason it's so great is because there's not that many.
I'm sure I'll go to Canada one day.
Why
for
not?
something.
Ranch out.
Ambition.
Yeah. No, they have like the whole, like, I'm into the whole entertainment stuff. They have a lot of entertainment up there. You know,
Yeah.
like the whole YouTube scene is huge up there too. Like, they
Yeah, that's why they keep moving here.
I really need you to not use a YouTube scene as a criterion for
Oh,
the country that you want to move to.
I like YouTube. I like
Epic
YouTube.
Mealtime. They saw the writing on the
Wait,
wall.
wait,
Came to
that's
LA.
right. That's right.
Canada is pretty great, and also
Yeah,
they got lots of unexploited resources. So, like, you know, they could take in a couple 100 million people.
Those
and
tar
they'd be fine.
sands.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like the whole country is like amassed along the border. With like 90% of the population lives like on the border between the United States and Canada, and the rest of it is just completely like
Woods.
undeveloped. Yeah, woods, moose,
You can go live in the
Wrestling.
Northwest Territory and pan for gold.
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna do
grow
that.
an ironic mustache.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right, my topic.
Yeah, Aisha Tyler, what's your topic?
I don't
Don't
think
steal
this
my
is-
line. That's what I get to say.
Oh, okay. I don't think this is. Oh, sorry.
Aisha, what's your topic?
So anyway, so this is probably not original. Probably somebody's come to you with like, what would you do in the apocalypse, or what would be your apocalyptic plan? But I would like to ask you how close you think we are to an actual
Oh, fuck.
apocalyptic state in the West.
I think we're a ways off. I don't think that it, I mean, by a ways, I mean, I don't think it's in our lifetime.
And then, as an addendum, what would be what do you think would trigger a potential apocalyptic breakdown? Like what kind of political or social or economic condition?
I'm going to go AIs. Some
AI?
form of computer
You're going science
shit.
fiction?
Yeah, computer
Like
stuff's going to
Skynet.
fuck us up. Yeah.
Or the Cylons.
Yeah.
I always thought Dark Angel made an interesting thing. Remember that Jessica Alba
Yeah,
show?
I remember the show, but I don't remember what
It started with an EMP. They set off an EMP over in America. Or over America.
I know, well,
then
one of
like,
the other Americas. Yeah. You know.
Central America really fucked up their shit.
That shit's already dark.
Yeah, I know, right?
They blew out the 3 lights that
that-
were working. My generator's not running anymore. Hi, I'm racist.
We were just talking about this today. House Hunters International was on. Why are all
yeah.
these people trying to move to Central America?
Because it's cheap as fuck.
Fuck that. It's not. It's
You
crazy
could
out
buy-
there. They
you
only
could buy-
drive golf carts.
You could like buy an island down there. Like you literally buy, like you could take the money that you would spend on a house in San Francisco and buy an island in Panama. Yeah. $1 million,
Not
$1.5
worth it to me.
bucks. An island. A whole island.
Yeah.
Then you just bring down, you take your generator on your little motorboat and you're on fire. You're freaking Marlon Brando. All right, so none of the things you've said are realistic, but fun.
I don't know. I mean,
AI, don't you feel like?
Well, sorry, maybe I'm not saying AI, it's not in a Terminator sense, but
Not
I think
like Johnny Depp
I think
AI?
it's gonna be some computer type shit where all the computers
Go
fuck
down.
up and we're also
Y2K.
We are really dependent.
yeah,
on
we're so
technology.
dependent on it nowadays,
Yeah.
and my generation's a bunch of fucking idiots, so we're all gonna be like, shit, what do we do?
That's
And then we're
true.
all screwed.
And you're
that's
gonna
what
I
lose.
feel
causes
that
the
way if my
apocalypse.
phone dies. Like when I'm out, I'm like, where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a joke, but it's also the same thing
It's
of
so
I don't
true.
have a map in my car.
I don't know anybody's phone number.
Right? Yep. 100%.
I don't know how to do or go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's not just your generation. We're all dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
no, technology
We're all
we do. That's the big thing. We lean on it way too much. But I don't know. I feel it's one of those. I feel like it's far off too. Even when we were talking with the banking crisis, right? That was where I was talking about we were teetering on the edge. Yeah. Like it would have been Great Depression style craziness.
We were real close.
I don't think it would have been anarchy in the streets.
Oh.
You think it would have been?
Yeah.
But you
I think
always
that-
lean that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of almost like a wishful thinking kind of thing.
He always talks about. He always talks about how when he was a kid.
Oh, please God, let there be some kind of terrible economic breakdown. Let everybody run to the streets and eat each other. Let there be cannibalism.
He always talks about how when he was a kid, he used to wish Red Dawn was real.
I kind of wanted Red Dawn to be
Wasn't it
real.
cool?
Yeah,
Like,
I totally
you go
get
out
it.
there in the
Move
mountains.
the woods with your friends, practice sharpshooting, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to take I'd take pine cones and throw them like they were grenades and stuff like that.
Did you see the remake?
Yeah, we watched. Greg and I
How
watched
was it?
together.
I couldn't-
It was fine.
It was fine. It was silly, you know.
Right. I
But the
love
original one's
first one
silly
so
too.
much. The first one was silly, but we didn't know that
No,
because
yeah.
our level of
Because John Milius.
I feel like it's so
Yeah.
rare that I go to the movies now and leave and I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. Usually I leave and I was like, oh, it was fine. It was good.
Oh, now that makes me sad. I don't
I
want to
know.
be dead inside.
Why we just had a conversation last week about how I want movie theaters to be over. I want
Really?
everything day and date digital. I'll buy more things. TV's a better platform for everything. Fuck off with movies.
Do you not feel like there's something special about the event of going to a movie when it opens on that
When it's
weekend
all-
and experiencing it with 300 other people?
When it's
in a
all
room?
perfect, yeah, it's great. What I talked about was Avengers. When I went and saw Avengers
Yeah.
with a whole room of comic book
Yeah.
fans and the girl in front of me, when they showed Thanos, she stood up and flipped out, and I was
Yeah.
like, "That's awesome." But then I went and saw a double feature of Godzilla and what was the other one? A recent film, X-Men. And there's a fucking hillbilly at the end of the road talking like a motherfucker and all this other shit. And there's kids behind me. And this.
See, I hate it when people laugh before the joke's over, and I feel like that happens all the time. It's just they just ruin the joke for me during a comedy where they're just they kind of see it's coming beforehand. They just start laughing. And I'm like, why you're just
Why are
laughing
you
to
here?
look like you're smart right now, to everybody else.
So, but I saw Return of the King, sold out 12:30 at night at the ArcLight in LA,
Yeah.
and the usher came out and he was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, come to me." He was so excited. He was urinating himself. It was like he had made the movie. Everyone was so fired up, and there was that energy, right? When
Right.
everybody, it didn't even matter how good the movie was. It was just that we were all have been thinking about this since we were kids, and it was happening.
Yeah.
and that was amazing.
I get that, and I love that in that Avengers scenario. And I usually see the comic book movies I'm really into. At
Avengers
midnight.
was great.
And that was one of those
Avengers
movies where I was
was
like, this fucking
as it was
delivered.
happening, I was like, "This is the best
Right?
thing that's ever happened to me."
And that's one of those, and that was for me in Godzilla. I guess I saw Godzilla late, so I had really low expectations for it.
Right.
So the whole movie, I was like, this is fucking fun. I'm having
Yeah.
fun right now. This
Yeah.
is, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But, I think a great example of the opposite of that is just right now with Orange is the New Black, right? Or
Yeah.
House of Cards.
Yeah.
It comes out, everybody has that weekend, and then they go to work and they talk to friends about it. And maybe it's
Right.
just where we work, that all
Yeah.
of our friends are on the same equal nerddom.
Right.
We're all the same thing, so it'd be different. When I always talk about, when I worked at the newspaper, there was, multiple generations of people there working, so we didn't have that shared line of interest. Whereas at IGN, I work with my best friends. People, used to ask me, "Oh, cool, have you made friends?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm friends." Every weekend I go out with the people I work with, and they're like, "What do you mean?" That's a weird, that's a
Right.
weird thing for somebody who's in a job that's different. But for
Right.
us, we still have that experience. That was Nick's argument of sharing the experience, leaving the theater, talking immediately to someone you came with about
I see
what
what you're
just
saying.
happened.
Versus this is a collective experience where everyone watches it at home and then talks about it
Right.
at work.
Yeah.
But I feel like both of those experiences are valuable. Right now. So for example, Game of Thrones. I get to work on Monday and then everybody's like, "Did you watch it last night?" And we all talk about it. Or someone goes, "I haven't watched it yet. Please wait until tomorrow." And we all talk
Exactly.
about it on Tuesday. But I feel like that doesn't devalue. That's as comparatively interesting as going to see, Avengers and then talking about that with
Sure.
your friends on Monday, or playing a game and being like, "I'm only halfway through campaign. Wait till you finish the game." And I feel like those things. I think it would be sad. Maybe now I'm all of a sudden I'm old. I think it'd be sad to not ever be able to have the experience of seeing a movie in a sold out theater with 500 people all eating popcorn and all yelling at the same time and all gasping at the same time.
It's one of those things. My thing is, I don't think it's ever going to go away. We were having this argument, and people were saying, or somebody at the table was saying that, it will go away. And I'm like, I don't think it will. Movie theaters are always going to be there. I hope they keep going the way of. ArcLight, you book your seats, right? Like where you sit.
Yeah, like it's super. I think it's probably going to go to you'll have just premium and then super low rent shitty theaters and nothing in between. And I think the more people can get movies day and date, you'll only go for a premium experience for the big tentpole movies.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that
I love
sounds
everything
great
about that.
Because there's so many movies like Spider-Man. Like I'm not a Marvel kid, so like I was like I missed opening night with the friends, and I was like, well, fuck it, I'll see it on DVD.
Right.
But
if you don't go opening weekend for a movie like that, like what's
if that was out like if they would have put it on iTunes the same night, I would have gotten watched on a plane and been like, oh, this sucked or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
totally. You would have felt the same way regardless of where you saw it.
Right. But about the end of the world.
The end of the world. The end of the world. We were
How
talking
close
about,
do you think we
technology. Well, I have two ways of thinking about this. The first one is that the world has already ended like multiple times for multiple people in multiple locations. For example, it just ended in Indonesia and Malaysia with the earthquakes and the tsunamis. You know what I mean? Like it ended for those people, right? Like they looked around and everything was fucking leveled. No services, no medicine, no food for weeks, no water.
Right.
People dying in the streets. It already happened in Haiti. It already happened in Rwanda. It's already happened lots of places. So we think about apocalypse as being like the end of the entire world.
Interesting.
But
That's
I
really
think
interesting.
the end of the world occurs constantly all over the globe
Do you
for people on a local
count Katrina
scale.
then?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
I feel like our example of the apocalypse happened in a modern American city where we were all
Right.
watching people standing in the streets, starving and dying of dehydration, and nobody showing up, and the cops shooting at American citizens, firing on unarmed American citizens who were just trying to get out of that city.
Yeah.
Like that was the first example. And like I thought about LA, and I thought like, what happened if there was like a massive earthquake in LA, and just for like 3 days, if you called the cops, nobody came. Like what that would be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So
That's an interesting
I don't think
example.
about it as like on a massive scale, like I've got to get a compound, although I really do want a compound and I
Sure.
want it to have a crow's nest and like electrified fence and like,
Do you own guns? Do you want guns?
I do own a gun. Yeah, I do own a gun.
Colin and I was always talking
Yeah,
about it.
you should own a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's funny because I'm super progressive, and I kind of feel like I really getting sick of like turning on the TV and seeing some fucker go and shoot up a building.
Right.
It makes me fucking apeshit bananas. I do feel like we have a constitutionally protected right to own guns, but the idea that we have a constitutionally protected right to buy bullets on the internet, buy thousands and thousands and thousands of ordnance on the internet without being checked out is bullshit. I think the right to own guns does not mean the unlimited right to amass as much weaponry as you possibly can without safeguards. And I think we safeguard. You have to wear a seatbelt. You can't put fucking arsenic in baby food. You should have to wait 3 days. If you can't wait 3 days, you don't need a gun. You know what I mean? Like if it's a fucking hurry, there's something wrong with what you need it for. So I do own a gun and it's licensed, and I shoot on a regular basis so that I can use it safely, so I don't wake up in the middle of the night and shoot my husband when he's come back from the bathroom, or I don't accidentally shoot myself because I don't know how to operate it, or someone breaks into my house, I do know how to operate it, I end up shooting the bad guy and not having it jam or lock because I didn't take the safety off. Like I feel like it's a responsibility. We think it's a right. I feel like living in this country is a responsibility. It's a responsibility to be educated. It's a responsibility to know what's going on. It's not just a right. It's not just me. I'm an American and everything's my fucking way. And that's the problem I have with that. But that being said, I think about like what would happen in LA, like, if there was like a massive earthquake,
Sure.
no power, fires everywhere. They were saying if there was one massive earthquake in San Francisco and there were just three major conflagrations. So like not blocks and blocks, like three full city blocks on fire, and then your house caught on fire, no one is coming to put your house out. And that is essentially like the tipping point for social services breaking down.
Yeah.
So I think that it could happen at any time.
In
personally.
that scenario, 120 fucking percent.
And I think you should be thinking about it in your life that way, which is like, where would I go? Who would I call? But I don't know. I think about also like, what if China just decided to like make us pay them back?
Right. Yeah. We always talk about that.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think we could go into like a really prolonged depression. And so I feel like, unfortunately, we're in bed with those guys forever because we just owe them too much money. And I think that would be more of like a long-term, like, sell your shit, move to the country kind of thing. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, things have always been so stable here. It's like... It's hard to imagine that things could break down. And even this last depression kind of felt God, like we can't figure out how to get out of this. Because the big problem was even after we kind of bought our way out of it, we give all this money to the banks and then they all hoarded it. And so I don't know that it's that far off. I don't think it's going to be like zombies in the streets. But I think it would just be more like the way that things work.
Yeah, yours is way more terrifying because when you ask what's the apocalypse going to be like or when's that coming, you're like, what's going to take out the entirety of the United States?
Right.
Well, yeah, there's an earthquake coming for San Francisco. Is our shitty house going to hold up? I don't know. And even if it does, what's to say the houses on the side of us don't catch on fire and burn us down?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
The marina's done.
Yeah, the marina's just
entire
built on
marina's
trash.
gonna
The
fall.
marina's built on the rubble of the 1906 or 1907 earthquake.
Yeah, a lot
And that's
of
crazy.
fill.
An entire district, if a big earthquake comes, is just going to crumble, and then no one's going to help them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I think it'll be it's sick and it's sad and it's fucked up. But I think if something like that, like a Katrina style thing happened in San Francisco, they would come because a lot of the money's here, you know. And so like they didn't have the political leverage in New Orleans to get the help. You know, there's no way. If Barack Obama's in office and all of his progressive pals in San Francisco are fucked, you know, and the Senate controlled by Democrats or by your friends, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Even
New
if there
York
was a
or San
Republican,
Francisco.
though, even if there's a Republican in office, I feel like the money is
Oh,
here,
sure, yeah,
period.
the money's
like,
still
this is
here.
the hub
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
technology for this country.
I feel like there's just certain cities like Washington, New York, San Francisco, maybe even Houston because of oil interest down there. Like, there are places where it's like, that's not going to happen like quite the way it happened in Katrina. It's still going to be fucked up. You know what I mean? But that's I don't know. I think that I think there's multiple ways that everything can go to shit. We talk about this pretty often. In terms
But
of like,
personally, yeah.
yeah, like
when we're just
I
going
think-
to bed.
I think in 2000,
laying there whispering sweet nothings.
Colin, tell me a story.
I think in 2008,
You're going to have to kill Portillo.
I think in September 2008 we were really close to complete fucking disaster. And I don't think, and I've said it before on here, and like I don't think people want to think about or know how close we were. And I think that like there's like dissonance there where they really don't want to understand. Like we were like a few days away from complete fucking collapse, you know? And I encourage people to go read about it because it's true. And that was when even when I was talking to my girlfriend, we're from Long Island, and I was like, we really need to, like in September when everything was going on, I'm like, we might need to get the fuck out of here, you know? Like and go home, you know? Like, and like start driving.
Out of San Francisco?
Yeah, like just to get with our people.
Oh,
you
just
know?
to get home to your family.
Yeah, like just be like, I don't know, like I might not have a job next week anyway, so it's, you know, like we might have 50% unemployment in a week.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know if there's an apocalyptic scenario that's like really possible. I think mutually assured destruction, for instance, is real. I don't think that like there's going to be nuclear war or anything like that. I don't think that that's really going to happen unless it's like a terrorist cell that does it.
Yeah, it's not going to be a major
No.
operator.
That
It's
shit's
gonna
real.
be
That
a
shit
wild
kept
card.
nuclear bombs kept the peace, which is like the ironic thing that like a lot of people don't want to think about. Like they kept the peace between Russia and the United States. We would have had conventional wars in fucking Eastern Europe for 50 years if we didn't have nuclear bombs. But I think that there's certain tipping points or certain, that could totally happen. I think that the idea of a civil unrest, civil war, or revolution in the United States is very real.
You always talk about that. I don't think
I
it
don't
is.
either.
We're so lazy. So many people are like Tim and I. We're
more
like,
than that. I just think the idea that we don't think the government would fuck up any kind of like legitimate militia threat to they wouldn't just blow them away. I think it's just ridiculous.
Oh no, I don't think that either. And I don't want something like that to happen. But I think that there's certain tipping points that could create a situation where people are like, "Fuck this." You know, I actually think the Second Amendment question. I do think we need controls on the Second Amendment and all that kind of stuff. I think that I think there's a disingenuousness in the argument about gun control, where people that want gun control really just want gun bans, and at least a lot of people do. And I don't think that they speak plainly. And I think that they don't speak plainly about it because they understand that can never happen in this country because that would cause a massive problem. You know what I mean?
For my cold dead hands.
Yeah, no, it really is that thing.
Yeah.
If the government was like, guns are illegal, they'd be like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, and that is like a real thing. Like that's why that can never happen in the United States. That's why everyone's like, why are guns legal? Why don't you outlaw guns? It's
I
like
think
that will
the
never happen.
The bigger thing is that it would be unmanageable. Even not even talk about how people would rebel or how they'd feel about it. You just couldn't collect all of the guns that already exist. So I think it's unmanageable. Just purely on like a technical level, on a practical executional level, you could not get all the guns away. So they would never do it because it would just be like an unmanageable proposition. I think you're wrong. I think there are people on the extreme of both things, which is like I should be able to carry an automatic weapon into a school, and there are people like no one should be able to own weapons. I think most most people in the middle, which is like, I understand that people have the right to own weapons, but I would like to not see another 14-year-old shoot up a fucking grade school. I think that's how most people feel.
Right, but I also think that they ignore... We've talked about this on our shows before, where it's like most gun crime in the United States is from pistols, a vast majority of it. Even a vast majority of massive shootings are done with pistols, not with automatic weapons. And then the whole disingenuousness or this lack of knowledge of saying like, well, you can have a gun to hunt, and it's like, no. The founders put the Second Amendment in to protect themselves from the government. You know, like that's why it exists, to protect themselves from you. You know, not from so they can go hunt. They didn't think they needed permission to go hunt. Everyone had a gun. You know, it wasn't about that. It was about having a standing.
No matter how well you're armed you are, if the government comes for you, you're done.
I don't disagree with that.
It's totally conceptual that you could defend yourself against the United States government.
Yeah, but
if they want you, you're undone before you fire a thing. They will
There's
level
a
you
bunker
to
buster
rubble.
in this podcast.
Exactly.
I don't argue.
That's just like an idea.
I don't argue that, but I also don't think that there's not nuance in how those these kinds of situations go down, about who's on whose side. The military might not want to engage in warfare against its own people.
No,
like all those
not.
kinds of, there's like all of these different questions. In fact, I'm pretty positive that the military, like, people often think like if there was a rebellion, right, like, or just like a state just tried to secede or whatever, and the military rolled in there, I'm not so sure the military would roll in there. You know, like I'm not so sure that they would want to do that.
I think they would the way they did when the country was founded, which is that this is a union and we have to maintain the strength and the sanctity of the union.
I don't know.
We're going in there because this is the United States of America, and you don't get to leave. That like this is the deal. This is who we are.
Yeah. I just think that there's a lot of unanswered, unsettled questions about those kinds of things, and that's what makes all of the what ifs.
By the way, if there was a rebellion, they would just turn off your cell phone, and then you would be like, "What do we do now?
How am I going to tweet? How am I going to tweet?
Somebody has to know. Hashtag government sucks.
So I don't think.
How do you do that in smoke signals? How do you make a hashtag in smoke
Morse
signals?
code this shit.
So I don't think that, like, I think that the United States is extremely socially unstable, actually, and that like we often, it's like what happened in 2008 where we were like, there's a massive gunshot wound in the economy. We'll just put a little Band-Aid over it, and don't worry about it. Everyone don't look at it. It'll go away. It's still there. It's still fucking gushing blood. And I think that if everything went down in 2008 the way maybe even should have gone down,
the way you wanted it to
well,
go down.
no, just in terms of a cleanse, where it's like
that's my big thing.
We can't have this debt. Like, this is actually unsustainable. It's going to happen eventually. Like, the economy is going to collapse under the weight. Maybe we should have just let it happen. And I actually kind of feel that way. But at the same time, if that kind of happened and Geithner and all those guys are right, and they were like, you know, Henry Paulson and all these people, and they were like, we were looking at 50% unemployment and stuff like that. If you have a scenario like that, which is actually twice as bad as it was in the Great Depression in the 20s and 30s, then that is rife for complete civil, you know, unrest, like, and complete fucking anarchy. And it's always those kinds of situations, unfortunately, economic, you know, uncertainty, where typically far right governments come from, where typically people look to something that's powerful or something that's stabilizing. This is exactly what happened in the Weimar Republic, when they're, you know, hyperinflation during the Depression, when they owed all the money from Versailles and the Nazis came in. Like, it's pretty similar situation. So like, there's just all sorts of scenarios where I think that like it's not going to come from war with China. It's not going to come from war with Russia over Ukraine. Who cares? Like, it's going to come from something like Abraham Lincoln used to say, like, we will undo ourselves, you know? And like, I believe that that's totally possible. I think to say like, you know, it's not going to happen, it's not possible, we're fine, I think that like ignores all of the tea leaves, you know, like about like
I think
how
the big
fucked
problem
up
is
everything
we could never allow a full crash and cleanse because too many other countries are tethered to our economy, and they would all step in, and you know, we don't know how many hundreds of backdoor conversations happen. Like, you cannot let your economy collapse. It will bring the entire world down with you, and then we will let you fucking swing. So get your shit together, because when we go down, Europe goes down, Asia goes down, everybody goes down. So that no one would ever allow that. I'd be like, you can't let your house burn down, because then the block burns down.
Yeah.
So we're coming over to your house to tell you to get your shit together. Unplug your fucking appliances.
Unplug the
My
goddamn
house is not
Keurig.
going down because you left the refrigerator
Because you left the
running.
fucking
the curling iron.
God
plugged in.
forbid I charge the Wii U gamepad.
So, you know, people always laugh at me because it's like, you know, I do have like these visions, because I'm really into that kind of fiction. You know, so it's not even.
You
Wait, you have visions?
reading.
Or you're like, oh,
you need to
your
stop
eyes
reading
roll
like
back.
The Remaining or whatever
Yeah.
you've been reading.
No, it's not even Tom Clancy shit either. Even like where it's like kind of like it's okay, but like, you know, I just like, I like to think about it in a very intellectual way, where like civil unrest happens, problems happen. We fought each other in the 1860s for 4 years. It was the bloodiest American war in history, one of the bloodiest wars in history of in any war, when we fought each other. You know, and like where like an absurd amount of people died, like 4% of the population.
Yeah.
You know, like, and So, like, I just don't think that it's not possible to use a double negative. You know what I mean? Where I think that, like, I hope it doesn't happen. I want no strife with anyone. Like, I don't want people to get fucking, get stupid in the Midwest or get crazy in the South or get crazy in the North or, like, try to do stupid shit.
We're getting hyphy stupid in the Midwest.
I just understand that certain economic conditions or social conditions can happen where, like, people really do get fucking pissed.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that is what drives the end, at least in this country, because you were saying it's about location. It's about what happened with the genocide in Rwanda. It's what happened with the starvation in North Korea and Somalia. It's about those are the end of the world situations for those countries. And for us, the end of the world would be like, yeah, you have no internet, you have no electricity, the military might be fighting half the population, and your money's worthless, hyperinflation, you have no job. That is a post-apocalyptic situation in the United States, especially in an economically vibrant place like this. So like that's long-winded, but that's kind of the way I feel about it. Yeah.
Uplifting topic,
It's
Aisha.
super, I don't know
Thanks
why.
for bringing
You guys
it.
were dancing around the edges of this pit all day, and it just like seemed like the obvious question.
You're right. Yeah.
So
Fucking on a towel in a room. That's the same thing.
Did you? I have actually a second scenario, but I want to hear yours.
Yours scared the shit out of me. That's it, because I was the same way. EMP, this crazy shit happens and everything ends, and then you're like, oh no, it could just be a little bit, and I'm like, well then yeah, it's gonna be an earthquake in San Francisco, and this is the thing is like. This is totally gonna be like my remorse story, because every so often Christine's like, we should make like a bug out bag, like an emergency bag in case something happens. Like, we'll get to it. I'd love to, but Diablo's really good. I want to play some more Diablo. You know what I mean? And so like it's one of those things that'll be that the house will crumble and it'll be me and Portillo looking for her with nothing.
Your controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't
but that would
eat
be that is super scary, and I bet it's just a motorcycle.
No, it's happening. It's happening.
How great would that be? Take these cards one day. One day, everybody's gonna want this footage.
You can bury it in a
What's your second? You have a second scenario?
No, I mean the other scenario that I think is actually more likely than we'd all like to admit is catastrophic illness. Is some kind of communicable catastrophic illness, some kind of bug. We keep hearing about like MERS and SARS and all these things, and they've been relatively contained. But like they just had apparently there's a MERS outbreak in the Middle East right now, and they had their first MERS case in the States where someone was over there and then came here and interacted with a medical worker here, and they caught it. And I think there's just the problem with any kind of like flu-like virus is that the latency is a couple of days. By the time you know you're contagious, it's already too late.
It's too late.
I feel like that would be another scenario
Like
that I don't
Planet
think
of
is
the
that
Apes.
unrealistic, unfortunately. Yeah, like Planet of the Apes. Absolutely.
That
Or
new
like
movie.
Outbreak, Hot Zone.
Yeah.
Contagion.
That show, that upcoming show on
The
TNT,
the last
ship.
Yeah,
That's about that. That sounds great. That sounds like a great.
Sounds like
great
fun
piece-
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like a great piece of fiction. I don't want that to happen because I'm not necessarily on the boat. I'm not in the Navy.
No, none of us are on that boat. No.
And it turned out the Game Over Greggy show was doing a USO tour.
The Umbrella Corporation came in
Jesus.
and
We're in the middle of the Atlantic and we're okay.
All right.
like get on your rowboat and we're out to the middle of the bay.
I'll be right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Game Over Greggy show.
Uplifting end to the day.
I love those kind of topics. We can talk about
Clearly do.
we talk about these topics every week.
Every week we come to you here. You can get the MP3 for $1 over at GameOverGreggy.bandcamp.com every Friday. If you don't want to give us the $1, that's totally cool over
No,
at
it's
YouTube.
not.
I mean,
What's
no,
wrong with
it's
you?
not.
It's
Give us the $1.
Do you want the economy to collapse? Do you want the American economy to collapse? Give these guys $1.
Do you want my economy to collapse? Please give us
Yes,
$1.
I'm taking $1 with me, so please pay them back $1.
You can go to youtube.com/GameOverGreggy, get the topics broken out one by one every day up until the full video is posted. We post a whole bunch of other stuff. Of course, we just posted a video really recently of Portillo unboxing his first ever bark box. You should check that out.
He flips the fuck out.
I've known the dog for 9 years. This is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen from him. You can go there. Go to barkbox.com/GameOverGreggy. You get $10 off your subscription. Then, of course, buy shirts, districtlines.com/GameOverGreggy. Those are all my plugs, but Aisha, you must have a million. You have a book out,
I have a book.
Self-Inflicted
It's called
Wounds.
Self-Inflicted Wounds. You can get it on Amazon.
Funny.
It's very funny.
I got it on the Kindle.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
getting it. You can also get it on Audible. All of the variety of formats are available to you: digital, ebook, audiobook, actual analog paper book.
Oh, they still make those.
They do make them,
Wow.
and you can read, and then when you're done, you can use it to like prop open a door or hit your roommate because he owes you money. As in the
Save
Bitches.
it for kindling when the apocalypse comes.
Set it under your console because you don't like how low it is to the ground. And you can come and visit me at AishaTaylor.com, Aisha Taylor, Twitter /Aisha Taylor, Facebook /Aisha Taylor, Instagram /Aisha Taylor. All of those things. It's always Aisha Taylor because there are no other Aisha Taylors in the world.
Really?
So that is my handle in every format on every platform. And go to AishaTaylor.com /Aisha on tour to see me live You can watch me every day on The Talk. You can watch me every week on Whose Line Is It Anyway? You can watch me starting January 2015 on season 6 of Archer. Those are all the things.
We didn't talk about this.
Something?
No, never. But I read a thing. You have like they optioned your life for a TV show now, right?
I sold self-inflicted wounds.
You're so fucking rich.
I'm going to liquidate all of it and put it into my bug out bag now. I'm fucking terrified. I'm turning it all into gold doubloons.
It's all double D batteries in there. It's like I'm fucking ready.
Batteries and the solar powered radio that you crank. But yeah, so we're developing that now. Hopefully
That's awesome.
For next year.
Congratulations.
I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. It'll be a fun experience regardless of whether it ends up being a TV show, but it's fun so far working on it. Yeah.
A lot of successful people, they suck, but you're awesome. I like you a lot. You're one of my favorites.
Really nice.
Thanks for coming to our house.
Yeah, thank you for being way more famous than us and coming here.
You made me a cocktail. It was a lovely experience.
I made Aisha Tyler an old fashioned, and she drank it.
I drank the whole thing, and I'm actually mad. At several points during this conversation, I wanted to stop talking and get you to go get me a second drink. Then he started ranting about the end of the American economic system. I didn't realize that literally I put my finger on his button. Next time I'm going to ask you guys what your favorite omelet filling is. Jesus.
Oh, dude, yeah, don't stop.
We'll go for days on that one.
You don't know
Canadian fucking bacon.
It's not bacon.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Nick Scarpino is a scumbag.
It's so funny that Aisha brought that topic up.
Oh my god! It was like he'd been saving up his whole life.
Yeah.
At least 2 to 3 hours a day, I'm just thinking about it.